2024, Matala granted him a 70,000 rand loan to fix his son's damaged car. Before taking the loan, Shabiri says he was aware of corruption allegations against Matala and his tender with SAPS.
But certainly in your account, what it shows is that you had the money to assist your son without a loan from Mr. Matala.
I decide how I want to use my money. It's not about what you have there. I decided to say I wanted to make the wall, and then I can get another money to do that, and then I will pay it back because I know in December I'll be getting more than 100,000 for my bonus.
Shabiri says he paid back the loan in December of the same year, but Commission Chairperson Madlanga questioned the timing of the repayment since it came after Matala had his house raided by police twice that month.
You saw that the police were catching on to Mr. Matala, and you decided that money that had been paid to you, not as a loan, I suggest, you should now suddenly pay back to Mr. Matala so as to make it look like a loan. What do you say to that?
I'm saying it's incorrect. You know, if I wanted Matala to give me money, which is not a loan, I could have preferred that he give me in cash so that there won't be any trail.
And the Iranian president has outlined Tehran's conditions for ending the ongoing war in the Middle East. Masoud Pezeshkian shared a statement after speaking with leaders of Russia and Pakistan, saying the conflict can only stop if Iran's legitimate rights are recognized. Pezeshkian says an end to the war would require recognition of Iran's rights, payments of reparations, and firm international guarantees against future aggression. The Strait of Hormuz, a key oil shipping route, has become a battleground in the war, with 3 cargo ships hit in the area today. Iran has threatened to fire on any vessel there, effectively closing it. Last night, U.S. forces struck 16 Iranian mine-laying boats near the strait. In response to the soaring prices, the International Energy Agency's 32 member countries have agreed to release 400 million barrels of oil. This is the biggest in history. Here's the agency's executive director, Fatil Beryl.
This is a major action aiming to alleviate the immediate impacts of the disruption in markets. But to be clear, the most important thing for a return to stable flows of oil and gas is the resumption of transit through the Strait of Hormuz.
Gold is trading at $5,188.17 an ounce. The rand is at 16.62 to the dollar, 22.22 to the pound, 19.18 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $101.02 a barrel.
And in the traffic in Sunning Hill, we've got an accident on the N1 North. It happened right near the Baku interchange. Delays from Rivonia Road. There's another accident seen in the south of Joburg along the N12 East. It happened right near the N1 exit. It's causing delays coming out of the Golden Highway.
And in your sport, there's no giving up in the race for the Betway Premiership title as Pirates beat Richards Bay 2-0 to stay ahead of Sundowns on goal difference again. Arsenal held in the Champions League as PSG punished Chelsea. City lost to Real Madrid 3-0 and Bodo Glimt cruised past Sporting. And in the One Day Cup, the Lions got a huge 7-wicket bonus point win over the Dolphins.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with isolated showers expected. Johannesburg starting at 12 degrees, peaking at 20. Pretoria 14 and 23. Vereeniging 11 and 20 as well. The top story in EWN this hour. The International Relations Department says U.S. Ambassador Brent Bozell has already expressed regret over his remarks about South African courts.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Gosh, it's a Thursday already. It's a Thursday. It's the Thursday, 12th of March, 2026. Welcome to the program. My name is Bongani Bingwa. 7 minutes after 6 o'clock. Welcome to the program. As always, of course, I've got an entire team behind the scenes. My on-air colleagues. Amora Mila, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Bongs. Morning, 702 Landers.
Muteo Haripe is also here with us in the studio.
Morning, Bongs. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm just perplexed. Have you noticed a funny smell in Joburg in recent days? It smells like cabbage that's
Not
been
eggs?
left unattended for too long. Rotten eggs is another example. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, definitely.
What did you think when you first, did you go?
I first checked myself before.
You checked yourself?
For real, because I was like, what is that?
No ways.
Because there was no one next to me. I was like, what is that?
You wouldn't know if it was you. We have got a scientist, Professor Rebecca Garland, no less, who's an atmospheric scientist from the University of Pretoria, specializing in air quality and atmospheric chemistry. She's going to be here to explain to us what on earth that smell is all about. And where is it worse? Send us a WhatsApp voice note on 072 702 1702. Are there times of the day you notice it more? If you're a runner, somebody who's on the roads, how are you coping with this awful, awful smell in Gauteng?
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Also on our menu, we're going to be speaking to the Commissioner of the Border Management Authority. We keep talking about porous borders in terms of both goods and people coming in, and equally importantly, I think, out of the country illegally, right? That stolen car you can't find, it might be in Moz, it might be in Zim, it might be in Lesotho or Eswatini, and who knows where to it leaves from there. Part of how these goods and people enter and leave the country is because of issues we've had with border control. So the Border Management Authority was set up to try and deal with all of this, and they've used all kinds of sophisticated technology to deal with the problem, including drones. They've got special surveillance cameras, and the other part of it are the officials who've been part of the problem, because for a little brown envelope, things can come in or out of the country and they look the other way. So now they're fitting some of them with body cams, so you can see exactly what it is they're doing, to whom they are speaking, and of course why, and importantly what they're saying to them. So we're going to be speaking to Dr. Michael Masiapato as our big interview after 7 o'clock to talk to us about how he is plugging those holes. And just before 9 o'clock, we'll speak to Dr. Jane Mufamadi, who will tell us about the Ungasali Storytelling Festival. This is at Freedom Park.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
Our shout out is very simple this morning. I want to know from you, what motivates you? What keeps you going? You know, not so much when you're in a hole or, point of difficulty, but when you know those moments in life, in your career, in your marriage, in your relationship, in your friendships, you've just kind of plateaued. When you're, you know that feeling? How are you? It's not good, it's not bad. You're not overwhelmed, you're not underwhelmed. When you're whelmed. Is it the words of your detractors, the ones who don't think you're good enough, the ones who hope you will fail, who can point out all the reasons why you're not the right choice? Or is it your supporters, the ones who've got a kind word, who believe in you? Is there a sense that, and I'm not talking about conversations where the people know you're in a rut, but you are having a conversation with yourself and you're saying, I can't let Mateo down, because he's always so encouraging, he's always so kind, he really believes in me, I can't let Mateo down? Or do you say, that Amo, I'll show her, I can't give up, this is exactly what Amo wants to see, I'll show her. Amo, that's just obviously hypothetical example. What keeps you going when you find yourself in a rut, that place of plateau? When you, what keeps you going?
Just the thought of never wanting to go back where I was when I fell. Just when I look back and I'm like, I'm not going back there again, because I didn't like that person that was on the ground.
Right. So you picked yourself up, you're on a particular journey, you're focusing on a particular goal, it gets tough, but you don't want to go back.
I don't want to go back.
I'm
not going back.
Okay. Mateo?
I agree with Omar. I think the circumstances matter that you come from, to say, look, I'm not going back there, but also the people who said you'd never even arrive. there, in the first place.
Isn't that satisfying?
Can't let you think I was right.
Isn't that satisfying?
It is. We're human. It is. It is.
So I'm not a words of encouragement. I mean, that's sweet. That's cute. Thank you.
Thank you for the support.
Half the time I don't know what to say. You give me a compliment, I'm just like become this jelly, right? But come at me with you don't see it, you don't quite get it, you don't believe I can do it. I'll show you.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
We'll tell you why we're asking that question coming up. We're focusing, of course, on a number of stories this morning. Bozzy. What should we call him? Bose. Bozy. Right? The U.S. ambassador to South Africa, Brent Buzzell III. It's such an American thing. Even if there'd been a Bongani Bingwa before, I don't know if I'd call myself the second. It sounds like you think you're a king. Muteo the third. Muteo, a third of his name.
Has a nice ring to it.
Ruler of the seven kingdoms.
Yes.
And the first men. Anyway, he calls himself a third. He says he's sorry. He's expressed regret over his remarks, particularly when he said, remember, of course, he has some demands, the 5 asks, he says, that South Africa has not responded to. And he was talking particularly about South Africa's transformation policies around BEE and kill the boer, kill the farmer, that chant. And he says, I don't care what your courts say. You better stop this thing. And one of the things, of course, I pointed out yesterday was that I can't remember a South African government official saying those, using those words, using that chant. Do political parties, do activists use it? Yes. Should they use it? My personal view is no. But is it a government position? Of course it's not. So what's his point?
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, one of the things we we have to focus on is what unfolded at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry yesterday. You'll remember, of course, the SAP's organized crime boss, Major General Richard Shabiri, who testified before. Well, he was back before the commission. And one of the things that was at issue was his relationship with some of the people who are at the center of these accusations around alleged criminality in our law enforcement. And so he was being asked about particularly his phone and his cell phone records. And he was really put under the cosh because he claimed at one point that his phone was stolen at Loftus Versfeld Stadium in Pretoria last year in February. And then he got a replacement of that instrument, as he calls it, in March of the same year. And then one of the evidence leaders, Advocate Thabang Poe, really showed him that perhaps his memory wasn't quite as good as he may think. Have a listen.
And then you'll see on the 19th, it says empty message. Can you see that?
Yes.
And then on the 20th, you resume communications by sending what appears to be a TikTok link. Can you see that?
Yes.
And General, what this shows is that by the 20th of February, you had a device that was operational and you were already in communications on WhatsApp. Can you see that?
Yes.
So your version that you only got a replacement phone in March is not supported by your WhatsApp exchanges with Sergeant Kosi. Can you see that?
That's correct.
So would you like to correct that version then about when you got a replacement phone?
So, and we'll get to some of the issues that were ventilated at the commission yesterday. This seems innocuous enough, but the point he's making here is, and this is, again, the head of organized crime. Major General is his title, Richard Shabiri. He says, I lost my phone. I wasn't in touch with anybody because those questions he didn't want to answer, right? And he said, I didn't have my phone. So now they've got his phone records and they're showing him when he was sending TikToks and WhatsApps, talking to various people. And they're saying your evidence is at odds with, at least your testimony is at odds with the evidence that we have. And this was his explanation.
Yeah, I would like to, but I won't have a date because I was estimating that from the 8th of February, when my instrument was stolen, it will be in March or end of February where I would purchase the current instrument. So based on this evidence here, I can change to that day.
Right? I just think, there are 60 million South Africans. How many of us are there? Mateo? 60, I think, right? Even more.
I think it's a bit more now.
You're lying to 60 plus million people. All right, maybe you think I'm putting it a little too strongly. Listen to this moment, because one of his associates, of course, as we discussed previously, was the Vusumuzi Cat Matlala, the criminally accused businessman, right? And he's asked, well, why were you consorting and talking to these people? He says, no. I wanted to get information because, he would know who the criminals are. Just listen.
Continue talking to him because he could provide that kind of information.
Yes.
I'm assuming it's because you think he may know where persons of interest may be.
Yeah, he's well known and he knows lots of people whom maybe myself and yourself who won't get near to them.
Yes, to the answer that you gave to Commissioner Kumalo. So it wasn't one incident. You believe that he could give you information about others. Isn't that more reason to do a check on him, particularly because you are going to be seeking information from him?
It's correct. If you see something linking to that particular person, then you check on person. And
is he not linked then
no.
to a criminal? Because you were saying he's providing security services to that individual.
Growing from a certain point and a place, knowing lots of persons, it does not necessarily mean you are a criminal.
So I'm the head of organized crime. I'm going to get close to this guy because he knows all these criminals. And if I get close to him and becomes my buddy, he'll feed me information. Isn't the first thing you would then do is make sure who is he? Right? What is he involved in? Because if these are his friends and he's going to give me information about his friends and I'm the head of organized crime, wouldn't you want to know your entry point into this world? These are some of the best explanations these people are giving at the commission.
702.
More than a radio station.
Let's walk the talk.
20 after 6. Mateo Kharipa, you've got a question of your own?
Yeah, I want to know from you and the 702 landers this morning, Bongani, have you had to delay or cancel a trip altogether because the flight ticket prices were just out of your budget?
No. 9 out of 10 times when I fly, it's because somebody's sending me to go do something.
Of course.
Very rarely. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
And you're there.
My money goes towards feeding my children.
Okay.
702.
Weather.
What conditions can you expect on this 12th of March? A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng, with some isolated showers expected. Temperatures a little lower than yesterday. 20 degrees is your high in Johannesburg and Vereeniging. It's 23 in Pretoria. Another hot day for Cape Town. Slightly cooler at a low 38 degrees. It really is extraordinary what's going on in Cape Town. Joburg and East London peak at 30 degrees. Durban 27.
Yo, Bongani and the team, just a question here. You're always telling us you don't just work 6 to 9, you come in earlier to get everything ready and that. Why don't you greet Amo and Mateo before that? Why do you wait until you're on the air before you guys greet each other? I don't understand that. It's very, very funny to me. From Rustenburg.
EWN Traffic.
How do I begin to explain this? We obviously do see each other before we go on air and we say hello and all of the rest of it. But it would be odd to just come on the radio because the rest of 702 Land wasn't there at 4 o'clock in the morning when we said hello. So it's just a formality, really, to get through. So I hope that explains it.
Yeah.
And so for the third time this morning, good morning, Amo.
Well, good morning, Bongs. We do have heavy traffic volumes reported on the N1 North. This is in the Sunning Hill area as we head towards the Buccleuch turn of an accident reported there. Delays I see already coming out of Rivonia Road. If you were traveling in the south of Joburg, particularly Eldorado Park and Devland, we've got another accident seen on the N12 East. It happened right near the N1 exit. It's causing delays from Klipspeed Valley Road. Also, do remember the peak time delays at this time of the morning along this route. So do anticipate delays, as well as if you are traveling on the Golden Highway towards the N1. And then if you're traveling in Germiston, we've got delays on the N3 North. Roadworks are back up again right near Van Buren Road. Delays from the Airlines interchange. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Good morning, Bongani and 702 lenders. This is Theo from Ed to Duza. Look, Bongani, I wouldn't blame Moteo. I wouldn't blame Moteo at all. If the smell is everywhere you go, you move from one town to another, the smell is there. You move from one suburb to another, the smell is there. Then you start to ask yourself, hey, isn't it me? Have a great Thursday.
Good morning, Bongani and the team. Sam here from Joburg. Yes, yesterday I've noticed the smell from all the way from Protea going to Sunning Hill. The smell was so bad, very, very bad, in a way that if you've got sinuses, you will never cope. It smells like a storage, like a pipe of a storage. So the smell was not even good at all. Thanks, Sam from Joburg.
Sam in Johannesburg. Well, coming up, we've got atmospheric scientist Professor Rebecca Garland to explain what that awful smell all around Joburg could be.
Start your day with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
24 after 6, things you need to know at this hour. I don't know if you've seen these videos, and I really want us to have a bit of fun with this morning because I think they've just walked into this trap. The African National Congress has now distanced itself from one of its deputy ministers. This is the Deputy Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, Deputy Minister Bernice Swartz. So, as part of electioneering, she's launched a bread donation campaign, and it has sparked a lot of controversy. And essentially, one of the things she's actually caught on camera in a video saying is that she's going to go around to a particular community and she's going to donate these loaves of bread. And then she says each family that does get a loaf of bread, so it's one loaf of bread per family. And the ANC, of course, have distanced themselves from this. And we'll get to the newspapers in a moment, but I see the front page of The Citizen this morning, and its headline is simply, "One loaf, one vote." And it's all part, of course, the criticism. It's all part of how out of touch the ANC has been of late. If you remember, the MEC who says patients prefer to sleep on the floor, and the Premier who says he goes to hotels to go shower when there is no water. And now we've got this Deputy Minister saying one loaf, one family, one loaf. And the Citizen's headline is "One loaf, one vote." So I want us to have a little bit of fun with this morning. If you believe the ANC are out of touch, we are in touch, in tune and independent. If this is the direction they want to go, shall we help them with some slogans? Right? The Citizen has already gone one loaf, one vote. Right? How about better late than never?
Wow.
Huh? Give us this day our daily bread.
Let them eat bread.
Hey? Mutewa? It's a bit of, don't be a sourdough.
Oh.
See what I did there? I'd love your WhatsApp voice notes. What slogans shall we give to Bernice Swartz and the ANC, seeing as they're campaigning through bread? Give us this day our daily bread. To bread or not to bread? They're just loafing around, aren't they? Why do you still watch DSTV? The French media giant Canal Plus says its African unit MultiChoice lost subscribers last year, dropping from 14.9 million to 14.4 million. And so they're expecting lower revenues, and they're planning different kinds of tactics to get people to buy back into DSTV. And I'd be curious to know, if you are a regular viewer of DSTV, what keeps you still watching? Is it things like Moja Love, the drama-packed reality shows, or is it like me, really just news and sport? We've told you, of course, the U.S. ambassador to South Africa, Leo Brent Bosel III, has walked back a comment he made at a conference where he implied South Africa is losing touch with the U.S. and that the Americans are losing patience with Pretoria. Veteran screen actor Silo Magegangube celebrates his birthday today. He's turning 61. You'll know him, of course, from shows like Generations, The Queen, Blood and Water. He's possibly one of the most recognized faces in South Africa. And on this day in 2008, Madonna was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the first year she was eligible to do so. And in her acceptance speech, she acknowledged both her critics and supporters and said those who'd once called her talentless and chubby and a one-hit wonder were a huge part of her success. And that's why we were asking you the question, what motivates you, your detractors or your supporters?
702.
The newspapers.
Sfisa Zulu, what's grabbing your attention in the papers?
Good morning, Bongani. The Boston Globe in the US is reporting that a CEO of one of Boston's biggest healthcare system has written a book about how leaders should fire employees. His name is Peter Banco, and he's the head of Bay State Health, and he's laid off hundreds of workers in less than 2 years. So now he says that experience has inspired him to write the book, and he says this is how bosses can go about writing or rather firing staff. And he argues that firing people is one of the most misunderstood responsibilities of leadership. And he says managers should approach termination conversations with empathy while trying to protect workplace morale. But here's the kicker, Bongani, is that the book is already raising eyebrows because last year Banco was accused of plagiarism, and later he apologized after it emerged that he had repeatedly used passages from other writers in a blog that he wrote from the company's roughly 13,000 employees. So now people are questioning, who is he to write a book after he plagiarized a blog internally?
All right, those are the newspapers.
EWN Business.
Business news. Mateo wants to know, have you had to delay or cancel a trip altogether because the tickets were just simply too expensive? This EWN Business brought to you by Volvo. Experience the best of both worlds with plug-in hybrids, electric when you want and fuel when you need. What prompts the question?
One of the largest local carriers, FlySafair, says customers can expect an increase in air tickets as oil prices surge globally. FlySafair says from today, the 12th of March to the 12th of May, the airline will apply a temporary surcharge to cover the rise in fuel prices. The airline says Jet A1 fuel prices at South African coastal airports is now up approximately 70% in just 1 week with no clear end in sight. Now, the International Air Transport Association's global average jet fuel price last week rising 58% compared to the week before to $157 a barrel. FlySafair is the dominant leader in the South African domestic aviation market, controlling approximately 60 to 67% of the market share. As of early 2026, the airline operates around 20 aircraft, providing up to 1,070 weekly flights and roughly 200,000 seats. Now, the group noted that fuel typically accounts for 50 to 55% of its direct operating costs. At current price levels, the FlySafair estimates an additional cost of around 35,000 Rand per flight hour for each Boeing 737-800 aircraft in operation. So
no more R1 specials, eh?
I don't think so this year.
I don't think so. It just also shows you how small our aviation market is. They're the largest domestic operator with 20 aircraft. I would have thought there'd be more.
Yeah, you think there's more. They just move more.
So the margins are really, really tight, and they do the most with 20 aircraft.
Yeah.
Where's the Rand?
16 Rand 60 against the US dollar, down by more than 0.5% this morning. 19 Rand 16 cents against the euro. 22 Rand 20 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $5,152 an ounce, or platinum at $2,168. Brent crude at exactly $100 a barrel. I'll have more business for you after 7.
Remember when you had to hurry up and wait, and cars could only run on fossil fuels? Well, hurry up and catch up. You don't need diesel power, you just need a second electric motor. With Volvo plug-in hybrids, you can drive electric in the city, switch to fuel for the long haul, or combine both when you want it all. So what are you waiting for? You're late for your test drive. It's safe to be brave with Volvo.
Sfisa Zulu, let's go to the news desk now. You've got a little more on this Safir story?
That's right, Bongani. The airline says passengers travelling will pay more from today after it implemented a surcharge to offset rising fuel costs. The carrier has announced it will impose the prices on local flights due to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, which has disrupted global oil supply. FlySafair spokesperson Kirby Gordon says this will apply until the 12th of May this year.
Surcharges are based on the current increases that we're experiencing and levied as a set amount by route, depending on the length of that route. At this stage, we're looking at a surcharge of about 170 Rand between Johannesburg and Cape Town, less on shorter routes like Durban to Johannesburg at 94 Rand, and slightly more on longer ones.
In the Middle East, the Iranian president has outlined Tehran's conditions for ending the ongoing war. Mossad Pezeshkian shared a statement after speaking with leaders of Russia and Pakistan, saying the conflict can only stop if Iran's legitimate rights are recognized. Pezeshkian says an end to the war would require recognition of Iran's rights, payments of reparations, and firm international guarantees against future aggression. The Strait of Hormuz, a key oil shipping route, has become a battleground in the war, with 3 cargo ships hit in the area just today. Iran has threatened to fire on any vessel there, effectively closing it. Last night, U.S. forces struck 16 Iranian mine-laying boats near the strait. In response to soaring prices, the International Energy Agency's 32 member countries have agreed to release 400 million barrels of oil, which is the biggest in history. Here's the agency's executive director, Fatih Birol.
This is a major action aiming to alleviate the immediate impacts of the disruption in markets. But to be clear, the most important thing for a return to stable flows of oil and gas is the resumption of transit through the Strait of Hormuz.
And the IEC has lobbied students to spread the importance of voting in a bid to have majority of young people participate in elections. The Commission says there's still a huge gap to fill when it comes to young people registering to vote. The IEC took its voter education campaign yesterday to the Durban University of Technology. The Commission's Vice Chairperson, Glenn Mashinini.
We hope to achieve this with the partnership of yourselves as the leaders, taking this message, sounding the clarion call at our homes, in our neighborhood, to our families, to our friends, that we all need to participate in the democracy.
Mashinini has told young people that if they don't vote, they are far from shaping their future.
If you are not registered, you're not going to vote. So how is the will of the young people then recognized? How are the young people capable to say we can influence the shape and the direction of the leadership that we have in our country?
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with showers expected. The temperatures are at lows of 11 and 14 degrees, peaking at highs between 20 and 23.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N12 East. This is between Klipspruit Valley Road and the N1 exit. That's due to a major accident scene there. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 North as you leave Katahong. This is between Leondale Road and Heidelberg Road.
The top story this hour: passengers travelling with FlySafair will pay more from today after the airline implemented a surcharge.
Part of the 702 family.
My name is Ephraim Morobela. I'm from Midrand. I'm one of the 702 listeners. What I enjoy is different people's perspectives as well as presenters who give a different perspective with regard to what is happening all over the world.
Welcome to our 702 family. Let's walk the talk.
Selling your car this new year? WeBuyCars makes it quick and easy. Simply complete the form on webuycars.co.za to get the best offer in minutes. Then visit your nearest pod or branch or have WeBuyCars come to you. Ready for a new ride? Browse thousands of budget-friendly vehicles online or in-store today. WeBuyCars, the quickest way to buy or sell.
The team's on a roll today. Let me focus on payroll. Duty calls in the kitchen. That's why I have a business insurer that is agile and on the ball all the time on all things. I chose My Way Business Insurance, getting 24/7 emergency service and saving on my premiums, plus my business assist to handle my admin.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
For over 30 years, Midday Cargo has been keeping South Africa's supply chain moving, giving our economy the dedicated cargo capacity it needs. Whether it's really, really urgent, oversized, or hazardous, when a shipment has to fly, we make it happen. Linking all major airports with reliable freighter services, our promise delivers. Midday Cargo. Every kilo counts.
Selling your car this year? WeBuyCars makes it really quick and easy.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
Coming up in the next hour, what's the question? And it's brought to you by Outsurance. Up to 3,000 Rand in cash is up for grabs. All you need to do is send us an answer based on something that piqued your interest during the show, and you win 1,000 Rand for that. So WhatsApp us your name and the answer to 072 702 1702. Later, someone else will ask a question to get to your answer, and they'll win 2,000 Rand. Remember, you stand a better chance of being selected to give us today's answer if you've SMS'd out to Outsurance and got yourself a quote. So do it now. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Hey, morning bongs, Open Fasloras. Bongani, please, man. Yes, the ANC is making mistakes here and there, but we must respect it. This democracy that we are having, it was born and bred by the ANC. So please respect them for at least burning this democracy and breeding it. Thank you, Bongani.
Good morning, Bongani and team. My slogan will be:
the ANC's new logo should be a better loaf for all.
Good morning, Bongani team. A slogan for ANC that came to my mind was, let's break bread through a vote.
Hi, Bongani. Lucretia here. My slogan: we will try and fix this country one slice at a time.
The ANC, breaking bread and so much more since 1994.
Morning, Bongs. Tabo from Orlando. Breadwinners know when to stop. Thank you, Bong.
Innocent from Pinoni. A better life for all.
Hi, Bongani. Better the bread you know than the butter you don't. This is Pumuzo from Randbeck. Thanks.
Hey, Bongani. I've seen billboards from the ANC that say, together we can do more. How about it should be, together we can eat more? Because they keep chowing the money and we're chowing the bread. One loaf at a time.
Breadwinners know when to stop. We're having a little bit of fun because what else can you do? We've got this Deputy Minister, Bernice Swartz, going around offering communities loaves of bread. And she says it's one loaf for one family. So if this is the direction the ANC wants to go, why don't we help them along with slogans? I've already suggested, butter life for all, somebody suggests, and let's break bread together. Breaking bread and so much more since 1994.
EWN Sport.
Cindy Paluta?
Yeah, let them eat bread.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Yeah.
The best thing since sliced bread. To bread or not to bread? Better late than never.
Yeah. Yes.
Let's talk sport this morning.
Because there's nothing better than sliced bread than watching live sport. Right?
Guess who's top of the Betway Premiership?
What a ping pong battle we have there. You go, no, you go, no, you go, no, you go. And today's it's Orlando Pirates' turn to be top of the Premiership table. They beat Richards Bay 2-0 last night. They're back ahead of Sundowns on goal difference. Pirates goals from Apollos in the first half and then Machopa penalty in the 95th minute. Coach Wado says it wasn't a great performance.
We were not so efficient in the last third. We lost some crucial balls that maybe we could have been punished by the opponent in the transitions. Sometimes when you feel that you cannot score this second goal, we took a decision to close the shop. Of course, we can say that, it's Orlando Pirates, it's a big club, but sometimes we played against a good side and we need to defend.
Arsenal have finally slipped in the Champions League, but they did not lose either. They came from a goal down with a 4-1 draw at Leverkusen in the round of 16. PSG punished Chelsea 5-2. PSG scored 3 goals in the last 20 minutes. Real Madrid beat Manchester City 3-0 thanks to a Valverde hat-trick, and Bodo Glimt beat Sporting 3-0. Iran's Minister of Sport, Ahmad Donyamali, says the country isn't in a position to compete at the FIFA World Cup after recent conflict involving the US and Israel. Iran's scheduled to play group matches against New Zealand, Belgium and Egypt. FIFA President Gianni Infantino said US President Donald Trump indicated Iran would be welcome to compete, but Iran's government disagrees. Donyamali said the team's safety can't be guaranteed and current conditions make participation impossible. Local cricket in the One Day Cup, the Lions got a bonus point 7 wicket win over the Dolphins. Ngaba took a career best 5 for 38 as the Dolphins could only post 239 for 9. Zubai Hamza got a second consecutive century, 119 not out as the Lions move second on the table. And in tennis at Indian Wells, Victoria Mboko's great run continues. She's through to the quarterfinals after beating the 6th seed Anisimova 6-4 and 6-1. Mboko will meet world number 1 Sabalenka. Pagula beat Bencic, also an easy win for Swiatek. And on the men's side, not an easy day for Yannick Sinner, but he goes through to the quarterfinals, beating Fonseca 7-6, 7-6. Sinner will play Tien Zverev will meet Fields. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sports.
The brainy kids of the Whiz Quiz.
On 702.
Hello, I'm Jake Rubin. I would like to be a software engineer when I grow up. I go to Yeshiva College Primary School, and I am so excited to play the Whiz Quiz this morning with you guys.
We can't wait to play with you too. Will you walk away with the 10,000 Rand?
702.
Coming up at 7:15, the big interview.
EWN Traffic.
It's 6:45 and this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Delays on the N12 East. Amo?
That's correct, Bongani. That's due to an accident right near the N1 exit. That's in the south of Joburg, Eldorado Park towards Devlin. So please be on the lookout there and do anticipate about a 20-minute hold-up. If you are traveling on the N3 North, this is in the east of Joburg. We've got delays between Leondale Road and Heidelberg Road. That's due to peak time delays there. And if you continue making your way towards areas like Bedford View as well as Germiston, do expect heavier traffic volumes along the N3 North between the Airline's turn off and the Geldenis interchange due to an accident as well as roadworks that usually take place along this route. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You know that feeling when you get a deadline extension on a project? Well, that's how good it feels to see the Outsurance pointsmen on your route. Everyone breathes a little easier knowing they're on the roads. They've been easing traffic congestion for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
Morning, Bongani. Bongani, speaking to the head of border management control. I don't have a confidence. I'm not sure about technology, but I think those body cams, they have on and off. And there's a way to manipulate them. I don't know. I mean, maybe if you can tell us in terms of technology, how do you make sure that that does not happen? Tabangi. Morning.
We're going to find out after 7 o'clock. Are they winning the fight?
Morning 702 breakfast team. I would like to say thank you. The way that you have been playing the snippets of the Madlanga Commission. Many of us don't have the opportunity during the course of the day or even after work to watch the YouTube videos or catch up on social media on what was happening. So the little snippets that you share every morning, thank you to KG, the team, everyone, because also we forget with so much happening in the country, there's always a new story for the week, and it's easy to forget what's happening now with the extension of the commission. People are just, end up being, the Madlanga Commission is taking too long. They're losing interest. So thank you for keeping us tuned in, and thank you for giving us the summaries every morning. We know who was on the stand. We know what they said. And obviously then it's up to us to dig, to dive in further and go check out how the full testimony or anything like that. But I just wanted to say shout out to you guys. Keep it up. Thank you for being the best station in Joburg.
Oh, thank you very much. That certainly will encourage us to do a little better. Some of you have been sending us texts wanting to hear what exactly did Bernice Swartz say when it comes to that loaf of bread.
Tomorrow, Sunday, the 1st of March, I will embark on going to give bread to our people in our informal settlements, especially our child-headed homes. And for me, it's just an act that people always say that it is God that gives you bread and milk. So I think that it's very important that for us who are able to mobilize food and share with people, you should do that, because I think that food security is very important to everyone, especially those kids who sometimes feel like having bread and they cannot have it. So tomorrow will be a bread day for us. Thank you.
Well, she's received a lot of criticism, particularly on, and obviously the idea is to try and get as many people to think of her and her party as the ones to choose in these upcoming elections. So we thought, let's have a little bit of fun with it, because what else can you do? I mean, when the bar is so low, so to speak, what else can you do but to try and have a little bit of fun with it? We're taking your WhatsApp voice notes on 072-702-1702. What slogans? Let's help the ANC along, shall we? If this is how they want to campaign for votes, any bread slogans that you think might be able to help them along? One loaf, one vote, says the citizen. Give us this daily bread, say I. Better late than never.
Morning, team. The ANC loves you.
There's nothing better than sliced bread.
Taking the slice, leaving you the crumbs. ANC.
Bongani, the slogan should be, with yeast we can all rise to the occasion. Which occasion, I don't know, but probably the death of the country. But we will be rising because of the yeast. This is Jeremy.
Who is the whizziest of them all?
It's the Whiz Quiz on 702.
My favorite so far is breaking bread and so much more since 1994. Let's play the Whiz Quiz, shall we? Today our contestant is 11-year-old Jake, who wants to be a software engineer a little later on in life. And Jake goes to the Yeshiva College. Jake, a very good morning to you. Is there anyone you want to say hello to this morning?
I want to say hello to my parents who stayed with me this entire journey.
Oh, well, hopefully there are, well, not hopefully, I know they're behind you every step of the way. Hey, Jake?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. KG, start the clock. How many sides does a hexagon have?
6.
Correct. True or false? Ghana is on the west coast of Africa.
False.
It's true. What is 55 minus 10?
45.
Correct. Which word means to take away? Subtract or to add?
Subtract.
Correct. What do we call a group of pandas? An embarrassment or a herd?
A herd.
An embarrassment. Complete the saying, when in Rome, do as what do?
Skip.
As Romans do. True or false? The sun is a star.
It is a star.
True or false?
True.
Correct. What sport is played at Wimbledon?
Tennis.
Correct. In The Lion King, what's the name of Simba's father?
Mufasa.
Correct. Spell the word folder. DER folder is what we were looking for there. Jake, not a bad round. You've won yourself a tidy sum. 600 Rand is what you walk away with. 6 correct answers this morning. Remember, to get the 10,000 Rand, you must get all 10 answers in 60 seconds.
The brainy kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Good morning, Bongs. I travel regularly to Secunda area where there is a salt plant that produces the fuel, and their plant releases these gases that produce the smell. So they get emission licenses from government.
Well, a number of you are already commenting on the question we asked. Have you noticed this funny smell around Johannesburg? Some friends and I have been discussing it for a number of days now, and I've been noticing it, and many people I've been chatting to say it smells like rotten eggs outside. We've invited Professor Rebecca Garland from the University of Pretoria. Professor Garland is an atmospheric scientist who specializes in air quality. Prof, a very good morning to you and welcome to our program.
Good morning, Bongani. Thank you for having me.
So no doubt if you're a resident of 702 land all around Gauteng, you yourself would have asked, what's that smell? What's that smell?
Yeah, so everyone's right with the smell of rotten eggs. That's hydrogen sulfide. It comes from many different sources. Some of them could be more local, but also there are industries, open cast mines, coal-fired plants, and sewage treatment plants are the ones we normally find affect more locally.
Of course, lay people often know what's wrong with air quality when we can smell something is off. I suppose the real question beyond the offensiveness of the smell is what exactly are we breathing in?
Yeah, so that's the one thing. The air pollution normally doesn't smell. So our pollution levels can be quite high of other pollutants that affect our health really negatively, but we are aware of it when we get this H2S, hydrogen sulfide, that we can smell. So the hydrogen sulfide itself, it has to be at really high levels to have a direct health effect on us. But of course, at the low levels, when it smells bad, I mean, that still has an effect, right, on our well-being. That's not a nice thing to be smelling. But the pollutions also can be bad when we don't smell it.
I mean, how bad is it then if we can smell it?
So it's just that there's this one compound that's there. So when we get higher levels of this hydrogen sulfide, we can smell it. And I was looking at the data. So air quality data is available for everyone to see online at SAQUIS, SAAQIS. The hydrogen sulfide levels have been increasing, as well as the pollution levels, ever since about Monday, where the air kind of gets trapped by the surface. And so all of our pollution levels have been increasing since then. But I just wanted to say sometimes we have higher pollution levels, but not the hydrogen sulfide if the air isn't transporting it in from where it's emitted.
All right. So, I mean, again, bear in mind, I'm a lay person, Prof.
Sorry.
If you're saying that the weather patterns may have had a role, does that mean then it's coming from somewhere, or has it been sort of latent all along, but just exacerbated now?
Yeah, so it takes a while to do the analysis of exactly where it comes from, but generally when it's such a regional problem, when, all of Johannesburg can smell it, that usually does mean that it's being transported in. And then it can be exacerbated by the fact that we had this change in weather conditions where it traps the pollution close to the surface, and so then it can stay there longer as well. From what we see, that's probably the two causes of the flood.
Right. We've seen reports in the past that say parts of Mpumalanga are some of the most polluted in the world. How is Gauteng in general?
So our levels, even in Mpumalanga and Gauteng, we are not as polluted as many other places, such as areas in India, other ones in China. However, in winter, in particular in the Highveld, our levels do get high. They exceed the standards that the government has set. So these standards are to protect our health, and the levels of multiple pollutants do exceed them in our winters.
What does this mean for people, if anything, who might have respiratory issues, for example, even children or the elderly or those with asthma, that kind of thing? Should they be concerned?
So from the hydrogen sulfide itself, the thing that smells like rotten egg, that doesn't have direct health effects at such a low level. It starts to have health effects when we can't smell it, like when we can't smell it anymore. But for the other pollution levels, as they increase, those sensitive people can be impacted. One of the things you can do with that is to reduce physical activity, reduce going outside when the pollution levels are high. If you burn fuel within your house, try to make certain you have it's ventilated well, so that at least the air within your house stays better than it does outside. Yeah.
But the irony is you're saying it's worse when we can't smell it.
Yes. Yeah.
Now's the time to go out jogging?
Well, it's raining now, so I think it's better now. Yeah, and so with that, one of the things you can check is on SACWIS. There's an app and then also a website that has air quality information of what the air quality is like then.
Give us that spelling again. Give us that spelling again.
Sure. It's the South African Air. Search for that. It's under the Weather Service. They have that data out there.
All right, so
it can help to inform. Yeah, it can help to inform if the levels are high. That don't go out jogging at that moment.
Wow. I mean, are we on top of air pollution in general as South Africa? Are we on top of industry in terms of monitoring, in terms of compliance? Is our air safe to breathe?
In the winter, our air levels get above the standard. So we do have policies in place that we're working to improve air pollution. In some places, air pollution is improving, but it's not improving fast enough. And what it's going to take is we really need large changes in our energy system, and more quickly than we need for, say, some of the climate plans are going to take a long time to implement. We need action now to decrease the use of fossil fuels, and that will have a large positive impact on our air pollution. So we're not on top of it yet. The levels still get high. There's some improvements, but not as much as we need. So more action is needed.
I appreciate your time, Professor Rebecca Garland. It's just to make sure I've got it right, it's SAAQIS, right? That's the website where we check the levels and how dangerous it is.
Correct. If you search for that, it will come up. It's a government site.
All right. Fantastic stuff. Professor Rebecca Garland from the University of Pretoria. So perhaps before you go on that jog, because she says it's worse in some cases when you can't smell it, so you can go to SAAQIS. This is the website that will tell you the levels of air pollution. So if you've been smelling that funky smell all around Johannesburg, Muteo Haripe says he had a sniff at himself because he thought, what is that smell? I thought, I can never be me. I love fragrances. That's the last place I thought I'd check.
702.
Coming up, the big interview.
The Border Management Authority is using technology to control our borders and make sure we no longer describe them as porous. We speak to the Commissioner after this Eyewitness News brought to you by Khalix. Khalix, for the businessman who knows what he wants.
This is EWN.
The SNDF is being called to explain its operations in Johannesburg, and the U.S. ambassador to South Africa has been told to get in line. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. The command and legal basis of raids conducted by the SANDF and police members in the south of Johannesburg are now under scrutiny. Officers and soldiers yesterday raided properties in Eldorado Park, Reveille, Westbury and some places in Sophia Town searching for contraband and illegal guns. President Cyril Ramaphosa announced the deployment of soldiers to fight illegal mining in Gauteng, the Northwest and the Free State, and gang violence in the Western Cape and the Eastern Cape. Mongezi Koko takes a look.
Chairperson of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Police, Ian Cameron, says while he supports the military assisting police, there are serious questions about how the operation was authorised and who is in command. Cameron says Parliament has not approved any SANDF deployment specifically aimed at combating gang-related crime following the State of the Nation address. He says he has written to National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola seeking urgent clarity.
South Africans desperately need safer communities, but this must happen within clear legal frameworks.
He warns that without clear oversight and proper coordination, such operations could create confusion rather than deliver real progress. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola says black economic empowerment is not reverse racism as insinuated by US Ambassador Brent Bozell. Lamola defended the ANC's flagship policy after Bozell this week criticized it, demanding that South Africa scrap the equity law. Lamola was addressing a media briefing yesterday on geopolitical developments like the war in Iran and the country's relations with the US. Babalondenze has more.
Ronald Lamola yesterday responded to US Ambassador Brent Bozell's demands to the South African government, which included the scrapping of BEE. Bozell also wants the country to not implement its expropriation of land legislation. But Lamola says there's nothing wrong with BEE, one of the country's redress policies, and it won't be done away with.
We reiterate that broad-based black economic empowerment is not reverse racism, as regrettably insinuated by the ambassador. It is a fundamental instrument designed to address the structural imbalances of South Africa's unique history. It is a constitutional imperative.
Lamola has also ordered Bozell to explain his other remarks about South African courts and not declaring the Kill the Boer chant hate speech. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News.
Suspended police head for organized crime Richard Shabiri says he saw nothing wrong with accepting money from alleged crime boss Vusumuzi Cat Matala. This in spite knowing that Matala had corruption allegations against him while he was a service provider to the SAPS. Shabiri was yesterday questioned about his relationship with Matala during his testimony at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Scopa reports.
Richard Shabiri says he accepted a 70,000 rand loan from Vusumuzi Matala to fix his son's damaged car. While Shabiri says he has since paid back the loan, he conceded that he didn't disclose it to SAPS as required. Evidence leader Tabang Poe asked Shabiri whether he
Matala, knowing he's got a contract. I've got nothing to deal with the contract. I don't deal with the contracts, and I think even if it comes to the integrity, it deals with those who are in supply chain and so forth.
General, is your suggestion that there would be nothing wrong with taking money from a contractor as a general within SAPS because you are not in supply chain?
Yes.
Shabiri continues with his testimony today. Scopa, Eyewitness News.
And the UN Security Council has adopted a resolution calling for Iran to stop its attacks on Gulf states while not mentioning the US and Israeli strikes on Iran. It also condemns any actions or threats by Iran aimed at closing, obstructing or otherwise interfering with international navigation through the Strait of Hormuz. Tehran began targeting US military bases soon after America and Israel attacked the country at the end of February. While Iran says its issue is not with its neighbors, some of its attacks have hit energy infrastructure and civilian areas in the Gulf. Qatar's ambassador to the UN, Ayla Ahmed Saif Al Thani, has called for an end to the strikes.
Let us be clear. These attacks by the Islamic Republic of Iran have targeted our sovereign territory, endangered civilian populations, and caused damage to civilian infrastructure in the state of Qatar. These actions are a clear violation of international law and the UN Charter.
Gold is trading at $5,188.17 an ounce. The rand is at 16.62 to the dollar, 22.22 to the pound, 19.18 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $101.02 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 North. So this is between the Airline's interchange and the Geldenhuys turn off. That's due to roadworks as well as an accident. I see the M2 East is also affected now as you approach Refinery Road. While traveling in Edenville, we've got another accident scene reported right along the R24 West. It's right near Edenville Road. It's also slowing down traffic.
In your sport, PSG punished Chelsea 5-2 in the Champions League. Real Madrid beat Manchester City 3-0 and Arsenal were held by Leverkusen. Back home, Orlando Pirates beat Richards Bay to stay top of the table, but coach Wadu wasn't impressed.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with isolated showers expected. Johannesburg starting at 12 degrees, peaking at 20. Pretoria 14 and 23. Vereniging 11 and 20. The top story in EWN this hour, the command and legal basis of raids conducted by the SNDF and police members in the south of Johannesburg are now under scrutiny.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Do you find getting dressed for work a challenge? Try it at 3 o'clock in the morning. What to wear? Are your suits becoming threadbare? Well, Khaliks has the solution. The latest style, color, and cut in business suits, jackets, shirts, and footwear, all curated to solve your wardrobe challenges. Plus, expert tailoring and the very best value for money. So next time you need a suit, make your choice effortless. Choose Khaliks for the businessman who knows what he wants.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Soldiers in our townships, they're meant to bolster crime-fighting efforts, and they're working with South African police services. And, of course, people are already raising questions based on the conduct of these soldiers. They were in Elders yesterday, in Westbury, Sophia Town, mostly searching for contraband and illegal guns. If you're in areas where the soldiers have been, we'd love to hear your experiences. Have they been to your home? What questions did they ask? A number of people online suggesting the ransacking of their homes by these soldiers looking for illegal substances, and not always successfully. What's your view? Do we take the bitter pill to solve a bigger problem, even if they come to your house and turn it upside down? Because presumably, no one is going to say, oh, here are the drugs, right? They have to go into your house and look for them and find them. Do they then have a duty to tidy up your home and leave it as neatly as they found it? Or being soldiers, will they just walk away? Are you okay with that? Just as long as they eventually find something in someone's house where it shouldn't be? Tell us your views.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
We're keeping an eye, of course, on developments in the Middle East. The front page of the Business Day this morning talking about how banks are bleeding due to that war. 200 billion lost in value just this week. Not only the major banks, but also the Public Investment Corporation. In fact, they're saying the PIC has been the hardest hit, but the country's top 5 banks also shedding 200 billion rand since the breakout of that conflict. Was it what? 11, 12 days ago. So all of this is going to have an impact not only on the current economic situation, but it may well do so in terms of future challenges, many people's pensions and investments tied up in the cost of this war. I want you to listen now to yesterday, the US President Donald Trump downplaying the economic impact of the war in Iran.
Putting an end to all of this threat once and for all, and the result will be lower oil prices, oil and gas prices for American families. We've done that. We've done it. We brought it very low. This was just an excursion into something that had to be done.
An excursion, a little excursion, says Donald Trump. Bringing matters a little closer to home, we've played you some audio from the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, but of course there's much more going on elsewhere. Yesterday, or at least on Tuesday rather, the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, you'll remember we spoke to the chair, Songezo Zibi, some days ago, and one of the things he told us was that he was looking forward to a visit to the OR Tambo District Municipality to ask them some questions around how they are handling public money. And I think although this is in East London effectively, so it may feel that it doesn't affect you as a resident of Johannesburg or Tshwane, have a listen to just the cavalier attitude these officials have in terms of how public monies are handled. So the Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance was discussing the latest audit findings with the municipal manager, one Basil Mase, grilled about 547 million rand in unauthorized expenditure. 547 million rand. That's over 500 million rand in unauthorized expenditure. These were some of the answers he gave.
I don't want to seem to be defensive on this matter, or to be evasive for that matter, on the issue of the tourism manager. As I said, we wrote to all of them. They all wrote back to me to explain the allegations against them. This manager as well wrote back to us and say, hey, look, the work at that time was such that in many occasions, money would be paid. I'm not saying this is right. Money would be paid into our accounts. And we have a responsibility to show that this money was to pay these people, and they could show to us that this is a list of people with their bank accounts, their IDs, their signatures, who were then paid using this money. Those are practices that are not in line with the law. But these are practices that have been prevalent throughout.
Huh? I fumbled that a little earlier. So this is before Scopa and the COGDA Portfolio Committee. So these are members of parliament asking officials from this metro, what are you doing with public money? And he brazenly says, we didn't even suspend this official because all of us know the practice of receiving monies in our accounts to pay for things.
Directly into your account.
Personal accounts.
To pay for things.
Yeah, everyone does it. So when she explained how the money got into her account, I was like, oh, okay. Highway too. I mean, you know.
That's
it is
normal.
known. Yeah. Condo. Next. What's the issue? I mean, yeah, it's not legal, strictly speaking. I know that. But highway too, you know, these things happen.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
7:02 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
In front of me, I've got an ANC statement released by the party where they say they've noted with serious concern the circulation of social media images depicting the distribution of food parcels while displaying the name, colours and branding of the ANC by Comrade Bernice Swart, a member of Parliament and Deputy Minister. These images create the false impression the activity forms part of an official ANC program or campaign. And they're saying now they want to state categorically that this distribution reflected in these images is not an ANC campaign and was not authorized by any structure of the organization, and therefore they want to distance themselves. This, of course, after Bernice Swartz received criticism for being insensitive to poor people. She even at one point was suggesting that one loaf, one family. So this morning we thought, let's have a little bit of fun with it because, of course, the ANC may deny it as an official slogan, but where would she get the gall to do this if she didn't think it would fly as a senior member of the party, no less? We've been taking some of your suggestions that if they really did want to go this way, what slogan might they use? You're my better half? Hey, KG? We just spread well together? It was loaf at first sight, Amo. I loaf you more than words can say. Yeah, ne?
We are here from the ANC. One love, one family. From the ANC, ne? ANC, there is life. So, one love means a lot. Ne? Thank you. Siyabonga kumama uBernice Swartz, ne? Yeah, Deputy Minister.
7:02. Up next,
The Big Interview.
EWN.
16 after 6. Let's catch up with the roads. Amo, how are we looking at this hour? Peak
Well,
time delays?
Indeed, Bongani. And to add on to those peak time delays, we've got wet weather conditions. It's raining outside. So if you are traveling on the roads, please remember to keep your headlights on, drive a bit slower than usual, and keep a safe following distance. If you're traveling in Sandton, we already have got issues along Grayston Drive. A car stuck on the road right near Daisy Street is already causing delays. Please be on the lookout there. While traveling on the N3 north in the Germiston area, we've got an accident right at the Geldenhuys turnoff. As a result, the M2 West is also affected as a result of this scene, so please be on the lookout there. And there's another accident scene reported. This one is along the N12 West, right near Edenville Road. It is slowing down traffic. I'll have more traffic updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. 7:02.
The Big Interview.
With Bongani Bingwa.
17 minutes after 7 o'clock. Let's talk about this. South Africa is well known for its porous borders. And I think it's a phrase many of us have used when it comes to the entry and exit of not only people, but also goods leaving and coming into our country illegally. And that, of course, has an impact on how this country and economy functions. The Border Management Authority has been tasked with managing our borders, and often the challenge is corrupt officials within the system. Now they're trying to use all sorts of technologies to make sure they're keeping an eye on things, from drones to surveillance technologies and even body cams for officials. Dr. Mike Masiapato is the Commissioner of the Border Management Authority, and we've spoken to him before, and he joins us now to explain whether or not they are turning the tide against the illegal entry and exit of people and goods through our borders. A pleasure to have you on the show as always. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Bongani, and the 702 listeners. We appreciate the opportunity as the BMA.
Look, we'll talk about the technologies you are employing and what difference that is making. But all of that, of course, is meaningless if the officials that are tasked with keeping an eye on our borders are the ones who are behind the illegal activity in the first place. I understand now, 50 officials have been dismissed for corruption?
Yes, indeed, Bongani. I think one thing that we can fairly agree on, you will remember we have spoken, when we established the Border Management Authority, we inherited over 2,000 individuals. These are the people that had already been deployed in the port environment, having been employees of the respective departments. And of course, when we took over those functions, we then had to integrate them. So on that basis, part of the reality was that the integration included the individuals that had been very problematic. And that is why we had to start making sure that we do intensive work to clean the system with the intention of making sure that we build an organization that is supposed to be very much ethical, and also with the officials that are able to do the work, understanding their national security responsibilities, but also the protection of the country's national interest. So we've been doing a lot of work, and that is why we have been able to identify those individuals, and we've been able to fire around 50, but as we speak, over 38 are currently under process that are also likely to be exited. Yeah.
Just give us a sense of what are some of these officials accused of doing or facilitating. How are they corrupt?
Maybe let me answer the question by also first giving the bit of context that if you look at the other responsibilities, you'll remember we are responsible for agricultural biosecurity. So in there, we have officials that are making sure that they protect the Republic in terms of the movement of plants, animals and all of that. We don't have issues much in that space. We are also responsible for port health. This is the team that checks people's health in terms of infectious diseases and all of those. We don't have much issues on that. And then we have officials responsible for environmental biosecurity. We don't have much issues on there. We still have issues, or we have issues in the area of immigration. And this is where the issue is. What is the fundamental challenge? The fundamental challenge is individuals continuing to facilitate illegal migration. What does that mean? That means allowing people entering the Republic that are not supposed to on a number of ways. Number one, you will find that an individual is having a passport that is not necessarily valid. Either it is expired or anything like that. And on that basis, people will put money in that passport, and the official will then receive that passport, process the person in, and ultimately stamp it illegally. And that is basically the first part. The second part is instances where people's 90-day free entry has actually exhausted. The days are done. And ultimately, you find that the official will then sell the days. In other words, give people days that are not supposed to be given to them for a fee, and then they will get money for that and all of. So it is those kind of activities, but the overall is facilitating illegal migration, and that is what all this is about, including having to be part of a process of cloning the stamps and be able to facilitate. So that is what amounts to fraud, and that is where then the people will have to go through the court system by the hawks for fraudulent activities.
You mentioned the 90-day visa stay. Anecdotally, of course, I have heard of people, foreign nationals, who are able to, there are people who offer services collecting people's passports. So the individual doesn't even have to go to the border themselves. There are syndicates that are operating, collect people's passports, take them to officials at the border, get them stamped, and then 2 weeks later, Bob's your uncle, you've got your passport back, and you never even left Johannesburg or Cape Town or wherever it may be, where you might be.
That's exactly part of what these individuals that has been dismissed had been actually doing, being part of those particular syndicates, wherein individuals will then collect the passports from inland and take them back to the port environment. And then those passports are then going to be kind of renewed in terms of the days that are supposed to be counted further, to say this person has actually just entered yesterday. Therefore, they have additional 20 days or additional 30 days to be in the country. And that is basically part of what these particular individuals that have been dismissed had actually been implicated on. And by the way, there are latest issues that I can talk to in terms of how we have done that. So these issues that we are talking about, Bongani, even in terms of now, is not necessarily the current state, because we have done things to close those particular loopholes. But of course, the firing was on the basis of the work that has been done over time as we were busy closing the loopholes and also dealing with the syndicates, but also with the officials that has been part of those syndicates.
So are there particular areas that are worse than others? I mean, Beitbridge has been the most notorious. Is that still the worst?
Yes, indeed. It is actually the worst, but the top one has been Maseru Bridge. You will remember just 2 days ago, I just returned also with the team from Maseru Bridge. We also brought in the SIU, we also brought in the Hawks and all of that. So we have been in Maseru Bridge as well as Ficksburg. We have the teams from both of those ports. You will remember with our statistics about illegal migration, Lesotho had actually surpassed Zimbabwe in terms of the highest number of illegal migration. But by the way, we have also dealt with that from a problem point of view. Part of the problem was the country's inability to issue people with passports, and we have dealt with that with our Lesotho counterparts. They are now able to do exactly that. They are able to give people passports, and we have started to have that stabilizing, followed by exactly Zimbabwe in terms of Beitbridge, and then followed by Libombo in terms of the Mozambicans. We also had some bit of issues with Oshuk in terms of Eswatini. But once again, all of those issues have been dealt with in terms of ensuring that the countries are able to up their game in terms of the issues of the passport.
So how are you catching corrupt officials?
So basically in terms of catching the officials, so one, we had set up this thing called the Border Management and Immigration Anti-Corruption Forum. We brought in the Special Investigating Unit. We brought in the Hawks. We brought in State Security. We brought in literally all the structures that are very critical in the JCPS cluster. And then we then have anonymous platforms where people are able to put in the details there in terms of individuals suspected. And then we also work with civil society on the numbers. I mean, there's Operation HIT-TB, so we call it HIT-TB, meaning Operation Let Us Know. Because you will remember, Bongani, people will say, yeah, but people are corrupt, and it's just a general articulation. Then we said, we are now giving you an opportunity. Tell us who those people are. You will remember that the people do have the text, they have the name text. But the most critical issue, Bongani, in this instance, you will remember 1st August 2025, we issued new stamps. These new stamps had high security features. The most critical part, the stamp has a number, meaning a unique number that is linked to an immigration officer. And that particular stamp is dedicated to that person and nobody else. And nobody can exchange their stamp, meaning should a passport be illegally stamped, we are able to link that passport back to the official that had stamped that passport, and we are able to deal with that situation. We have operatives on the ground, having had a close collaboration with State Security Agency. We are able to nab them. In terms of the body cams, they assist us to be able to monitor the activities of the officials. In terms of the drones, in as much as we use them to deal with illegal migration in terms of the people moving in and out, but we also use them to monitor the activities of our officials when they interact with the travelers. All of these things put together, we are able to identify these individuals, and we are cleaning the system. And I can assure you, and I can assure South Africans, we are definitely turning the tide. We are also training people in terms of awareness. We are training.
Doctor,
that is why we are even bringing,
Doctor, I know you've got your script there. Dr. Masiapata, all those successes notwithstanding, the reality is there are still too many people coming in and out of the country, indeed even goods coming in and out of the country illegally.
You see, Bongani, maybe the first thing that you need to do to assess BMA's impact or not, I want to give you a typical example because that is what you need to assess and you need to use. Remember, previously we had incidences, and by the way, it doesn't mean the traffic officers no longer work on the corridors. It doesn't mean police officers no longer work on the corridors. But you will remember, there used to be incidences where buses will be stopped on the corridor, maybe on the N1, on the N4, on the N8, with people. If the bus has 60 people, you will find that 40 people in that bus don't have documents. And that will be in the media, social media or conventional media, to say this bus has been stopped. And this is the number of people that were found without documents. These people just passed Libombo. These people just passed Bait Bridge. It was every weekend thing. And my question to you is, where has those incidents gone to? Those incidences are gone. They are gone because of the work that we are doing at the port. We have actually put in border guards to do access control.
Sure.
Nobody enters the port anymore.
Had some strides here, and I think that is to be welcomed. All I'm saying is, nonetheless, there's still more work to be done because there are still people coming into the country and exiting with goods that shouldn't be. But I appreciate your time, and we welcome all the successes you have achieved. That's Dr. Mike Masiapato, who is the Commissioner of the Border Management Authority.
EWN Business.
On to business news now, 28 after 7. Mateo, Rainbow Chicken reporting better profits. Do they eat so good still?
Yeah. Rainbow Chicken says it won't raise the prices of its chicken product anytime soon, even as demand rises for the protein. The company's earnings have doubled, driven by strong demand, lower costs, and a stronger rand. Revenue jumped 11.3% to 8.8 billion rand, with earnings up 111% at 669 million. Now, the group declared its first interim dividend of 15 cents per share since listing on the JSE. Revenue grew in the chicken division and for animal feed as well. Rainbow says things like US tariffs, input costs, and avian influenza still pose a risk for the sector. The firm says it's securing its own water and energy supply at the moment.
They look so good because they eat so good. Canal Plus investing almost 2 billion rand to revive MultiChoice's fortunes. But are people still watching?
Yeah, the French broadcaster plans to boost growth by enhancing customer acquisition, distribution and marketing efforts. Now, this move comes after MultiChoice's subscriber base plummeted from around 23 million in March of 2023 to around 14 million in 2026. Now, earlier this month, its streaming service Showmax was discontinued by MultiChoice, and the new owner Canal Plus are following massive, consistent financial losses at the company, totaling around 4.9 billion rand. Now, the platform will shut down to allow a shift towards a new super app strategy, although current subscriptions will continue for now.
Your indicators?
The rand at 16 rand 59 against the US dollar. It's down 0.5% at 19 rand 16 cents against the euro, and you'll need 22 rand 19 cents to get a British pound. Price of gold down 0.5% at $5,147 an ounce, or platinum is at $2,154. Brent crude at $98.89 a barrel. I'll have more business after 8.
Straight to the news desk we go. Sfiso Zulu, you've got the latest on the founder of Cope.
That's right. Bongani Bingwa will be honored at a memorial service in Bloemfontein today. Lekota held grudges and deeply committed to the liberation of the oppressed. Today's service will be held at the Bloemfontein Civic Centre at around midday. Alfred Mushwana reports.
A husband, a father, and a family man. This is how late Cope leader Mosiuoa Lekota has been described by many who were close to him. But his comrades, some of whom fought alongside him in the struggle against apartheid, remember him for sacrificing time with his family in the pursuit of freedom. Speaking in Soweto yesterday, ANC Deputy Secretary General Nomvula Mokonyane reflected on Lekota's life.
He believed in democracy. He believed deeply in accountability. He believed that leaders must speak honestly, even when it is difficult.
Lekota will be laid to rest on Saturday. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News. in Bloemfontein.
Passengers travelling with FlySafair will pay more from today after the airline implemented a surcharge to offset rising fuel costs. The carrier has announced it will impose the prices on local flights due to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, which has disrupted global oil supply. FlySafair spokesperson Kebby Gordon says this will apply until the 12th of May this year.
Surcharges are based on the current increases that we're experiencing and levied as a set amount by route, depending on the length of that route. At this stage, we're looking at a surcharge of about 170 Rand between Johannesburg and Cape Town, less on shorter routes like Durban to Johannesburg at 94 Rand, and slightly more on longer ones.
Families of the victims of a mass shooting in Cape Town say they hope the gunmen responsible for the tragedy will spend the rest of their lives behind bars. 3 men and a woman who owned a local shebeen were killed in Philippi East over the weekend. 4 suspects were arrested and appeared in court earlier this week. Police believe the attack may be linked to extortion, Ntutuzelo Nene reports.
Investigations are continuing to determine whether the suspects could be connected to other crimes in the area. The prosecution says preliminary investigations also show that one of the accused, Simpiwe Gova, has other pending criminal cases. A family member of the victim says they are still searching for answers about why she was killed.
We still don't know what really happened. We don't know if it was extortion related. All we know is that she was shot by men who came here.
The suspects are expected back in court next week for information relating to bail. Dutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
In Russia, a court is expected today to sentence the gunman of a Moscow concert hall attack that killed 150 people 2 years ago. The attack on the Crocus City Hall in the suburb of the Russian capital was the most fatal claimed by the Islamic State on the European continent. Prosecutors are seeking life sentences for 4 gunmen and 11 others they say acted as accomplices. 4 more defendants face prison terms of up to 22 years, accused of having terrorist links. The attackers entered the giant venue and went on a shooting spree shortly before a concert in March 2024. They then set fire to the building, trapping many victims inside. A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng, with showers expected today. The temperatures are at lows of 11 and 14 degrees, peaking at highs between 20 and 23.
And in the traffic, we've got heavy traffic volumes reported on the N12 West. This is between the R21 Roundabout Road, the R21 and Edenville Road. Please be on the lookout there. An accident is causing these massive queues, about a 20-minute hold up coming out of the R21. If you want to go to Bedford View, please try to use the R24 West as well as the N17 West.
The top story this hour, late founder and leader of political party COPE, Musiwalikota, will be honored at a memorial service today.
Clement Manatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Leo Bozel was speaking at a conference. Now, I have a few things that I take issue with what he said. Number 1, you don't come to our country and tell us that you don't care what our courts say. In this country, we respect the judiciary. So I find his comment that he doesn't care what the courts say about the Dubuli Bunu song arrogant. I find it to be disrespectful to our institutions. Does that mean that he can't disagree with our courts? No, it doesn't mean that. In fact, he can say that he holds a different view to what our courts have ruled around the song. But you cannot say to your hosts, you don't care what their courts say. I think this conduct is undiplomatic.
Clement Manatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
On the go and your stomach suddenly just not keeping up. That burn, bloating, or reflux could be symptoms of an ulcer, and stress can make it feel even worse. Ulcenic offers triple action relief by coating your stomach lining with a protective layer and works up to 6 hours, and no prescription is needed. You can choose between suspension, tablets, or effervescent tablets. Keep an eye on the shelf for Ulcenic's new packaging, so it's a fresh new look on the outside, but the same trusted relief on the inside. Visit the Ulcenic Facebook page for more.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas. We never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
Illegal water connections have serious consequences for the city's water supply. When pipelines are tampered with, it damages infrastructure, reduces system pressure, and can leave entire communities without water. Johannesburg Water continues to remove illegal connections and strengthen monitoring across the network to protect supply. Residents are encouraged to report illegal connections or suspicious activity to the City of Johannesburg on 0800 002 587. Protect our water infrastructure. Protect our water supply. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water, a water and sanitation utility that cares.
702
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Hello, good morning, Bongs. Just wanted to find out, how does Home Affairs handle the labor force, the seasonal labor force, those migration workers? This actually existed since, the early 19th century through to date. How do they document those people who come and work, like on a seasonal basis and go back to their respective countries in the SADC region? Thank you.
Morning, Bones, and your team there. It's KB here from Tembisa. Masia Pato there, they say they've dismissed those officials who were corrupt. That doesn't serve as a deterrent, Bongani. You know what? Those people must be arrested.
Good morning, Bongani. Tebogo here in Centurion. Interesting, the discussion with Dr. Mike Masiapat. I believe in a systematic approach. It's one thing to go and rush to the borders, flout the borders and try and block this thing from the borders. But what about the officials at the Home Affairs where now these people are getting illegal documents or they're getting documents fraudulently? Then it actually make this whole thing, useless, because then there would people who are not supposed to have these documents, now they have them. When they cross the border, it looks legal and clean, but it's not. So they need to have a systematic approach to actually say, you close the loops everywhere there's a gap, not just rush to the borders and work at the borders only. We need to know what they're doing at Home Affairs, across the country. Thank you.
Well, he specifically, of course, is the Border Management Authority. So, of course, he's going to be focused at the points of entry and exit. But point taken. One of the things I thought that was encouraging in that interview is the idea that each document that is stamped, they will assign individual stamps to individual officials. So at whatever point they may be caught, it might not be day one, but at whatever point they are actually caught with fraudulent documents, or at least those obtained fraudulently and stamped fraudulently, they'll be able to link it to the official concerned, the official responsible. And of course, with body cams and the use of technology, I think we're going to make some progress. Will it stop it entirely? Will it stop it? Will it stop even most of the cases? The jury's still out on that.
702.
What's the question?
What's the question is brought to you by Outsurance. A chance for you to win up to 3,000 Rand in cash. 1,000 Rand for the answer, and then later 2,000 Rand if you can give us the question. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask Outsurance for 500 Rand. Today's answer comes from Riabetswe, who is in Mahikeng. Riabetswe, please give us today's answer.
Morning, Bongani. Today's answer is 2008.
Oh, you're a tough customer, aren't you, Riabetswe? Tell me, have you got yourself a quote from Outsurance?
Yes.
Fantastic stuff. 1,000 Rand is coming your way, all thanks to Outsurance and 702. 2008 is the answer. What's the question? Call us if you know on 011 883 0702.
EWN Sport.
Cindy Paluta, a bit of a rough night in the Champions League, particularly for English Premiership sides.
Yeah, none of them won.
None of them won, yeah.
Yeah, none of them won, including Manchester City, who lost 3-0 to Real Madrid. I don't think they would have expected such a huge losing margin in the first leg. It's the round of 16. Valverde with a hat-trick there. Here's City's Bernardo Silva.
We lost the control of the transitions, of the second balls, and then when you do that against a team with the quality of Madrid, in these stadiums especially, you pay a big price, and that's what happened, especially in the I would say the last 30 minutes of the first half. And then in this competition, the team that's playing better not always scores the first goal. It's how you deal with the emotions in the bad moments. And today we didn't deal with our emotions right.
PSG punished Chelsea, scoring 3 goals in the last 20 minutes for a 5-2 win. Arsenal didn't lose, but they didn't win. They came from a goal down to draw with Leverkusen 1-0, but a Glimt beating Sporting 3-0. Orlando Pirates coach Abdeslam Wadu admits his team was far from good despite beating Richards Bay 2-0 through Apollos and Machopa. Pirates stay top ahead of Sundowns on goal difference.
But I want just to congratulate the boys about the character, about the personality that they have showed, the aggressiveness. Let's take some positives. Even we didn't have the control, I think we scored 2 goals with the clean sheet. So I want to keep only the positive. We still have 10 games, I think, and we are going to fight until the last second, and we are going to die on the pitch for this race.
Local cricket in the One Day Cup, the Lions beat Dolphins by 7 wickets to get a bonus point win and go second on the table. The win put in place Bangaba's career best 5 for 38, Hamza 119 are out. Western Province beat Boland by 3 wickets. Brooks Koepka comes back from Live Golf to the PGA Tour for the Players' Championship starting today. Koepka says he wasn't prepared for the reception from supporters.
I didn't know how the reception was going to be. Obviously, you can sit in bed and just kind of lay there and think about a million different things of how it's going to go, and you have all these scenarios you play out, but it never really comes to fruition of exactly what you think. So I think that's been a big thing. It's been exciting, it's been fun, and it makes it enjoyable to be out there.
Indian Wells tennis, Victoria Mboko upset the 6-seed Anisimova 6-4, 6-1 and will play top seed Sabalenka in the quarterfinals. Easy win for Swiatek and Pagula, who beat Bencic. On the men's side, Yannick Sinner worked hard for a 7-6, 7-6 win over Fonseca. Sinner will play Tien Zverev will meet Fields. And in Six Nations, France flanker Oscar Giroud banned for 4 weeks for eye gouging. He misses this weekend's game with England. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
Let's hear from Al, owner of Johnson's Cable, why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance.
I thought it was going to be difficult to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Switching was so quick and easy. I'm happy with the premium that I'm paying now.
For electrical, tradesman services and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Did you know that you have the power to ensure your daughter is fully protected from cervical cancer when she grows up? Yes, protecting a daughter from cervical cancer is absolutely possible. And all that you need to do is ensure that your daughter gets the HPV vaccine at the age of 9. The HPV vaccine gives your daughter the best possible protection against cervical cancer and can prevent her from becoming part of the statistics. This message is brought to you by the Department of Health.
Looking to upgrade your office furniture this year? Desk & Chair, the direct office furniture manufacturer, has a deal you don't want to miss. Get 5% cash back towards your existing office furniture with all purchases over 350,000 Rand. Contact Desk & Chair now for more info. Visit our newly renovated showroom in Midrand or shop online at deskandchair.co.za. Desk and Chair. Think, feel, work better. T's and C's apply. EWN Traffic.
7:45 on the nose. This EWN Traffic brought to you by Peugeot. Pretty tough.
Well, Bongani, we do have delays on in Rivoli along the N1 North. It's due to an accident right after the N17 turnoff. Delays from the Diepkloof interchange. And if you're traveling in Maritzburg, more delays along Albertina Sisulu Road. This is just as you approach the N1 exit. And if you are traveling in Spruitview, particularly on the N3 North, we do have delays. This is between Heidelberg Road and Leondale Road. That's due to roadworks as well as an accident. Expect about a 20-minute hold up there. Please be on the lookout and keep it safe on the roads. And do remember that because it's raining, you do have to keep your headlights on and drive with care. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
When your business needs strength, reliability, and serious capability, look no further than the Peugeot Professional Pickup range. Built tough for South African conditions, Peugeot pickups are engineered for fleets, professionals, and the agricultural heroes who keep this country moving. From rugged load capacity to fuel-efficient performance, these pickups work as hard as you do. So whether you're building, delivering, or farming, Peugeot has a model that's ready for the job. Visit your nearest Peugeot dealership today and power your business with the confidence of Peugeot Professional. Landtrek, it's pretty but tough.
702.
What's the question?
For 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Outsurance. Please tell me what's the question. If the answer is 2008, let's go to Mohammed. Mohammed, what's the question?
The question is, in what year was Madonna inducted for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Yes, indeed. It was 2008, the first year she was eligible. She was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame at a ceremony that took place in New York City. It was Justin Timberlake, in fact, who gave the induction speech, praising Madonna for pushing boundaries in pop music. And in her acceptance speech, as we were saying earlier, she thanked both her detractors and her supporters. Mohammed, 2,000 Rand is coming your way, all thanks to Outsurance and 702.
The ones who said that I was talentless, that I was chubby, that I couldn't sing, that I was a one-hit wonder, they helped me too. They helped me because they made me question myself repeatedly, and they pushed me to be better.
Taking us back, Madonna, the queen of pop, some call her, inducted on this day into the Hall of Fame. Listening there, she thanks not only her supporters but her detractors. I asked you the question, when you reach a plateau, what keeps you going? Is it the words of your supporters who encourage you, or those who don't have faith in you? Without showings, saving on your car insurance feels like getting the last burri roll at the office braai. 40-year-old Rafiq saves a whopping 899 Rand on his 2017 Navara 4x4. Get a quote now, and if insurance can't save you money, ask for 500 Rand to 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free with the same insurer for 3 years. Get savings or cash. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
LLB graduates can fast-track their legal career with the Law Society of South Africa's PVT School for Legal Practice. LPC accredited, this 4-month practice-ready course, which is taught by practicing lawyers, can reduce your PVT contract by 12 months for admission. Study by day, after hours, or via distance at campuses nationwide. The first 2026 intake runs from January to April. Applications close 31 October 2025. Apply now at lssalead.org.za. That's lssalead.org.za.
In business, sustainability should share dividends with more than just shareholders. Let's make ROI include a return on integrity.
Get financial solutions for environmental and social impact. With RMB, sustainability yields more than good intentions. Trees and Cs apply. RMB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider.
30-year-old Dineo knows all about saving on her car insurance with Outsurance.
I'm saving 1,094 rands.
That's an unbelievable 1,094 Rand monthly saving on Dineo's 2025 Kia Sonet. And she'll get an out bonus.
If I'm claim-free for 3 years, then I get an out bonus back.
Ready to see how much money Outsurance could save you? SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
702.
702. What's gone viral?
With Kabazela.
Catch up now with the world of viral content. Kabazela.
Good morning to you, Belle.
I watched the first video and I thought some of the comments on one of the couples, I thought those comments were a little harsh, but I'll let you tell the story.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about when you go out for a quick dinner with your significant other, what do you expect from each other when you go out for dinner? Do you go out and you want to have a good conversation over the dinner table? Is it more relaxing? Are you happy to sit there in happy silence? Maybe you look at your phone, or whilst the other one's looking at their phone, or do you just want to be in each other's presence and focus on each other? So what happened was there was 2 tables that were next to each other at this particular restaurant, and one person had a vantage point from the top and was watching the 2 couples. So there was a couple on the right-hand side. They were talking to each other. They were engaged. They were having a great conversation. And the couple to the left, they were both on their cell phones and, doing whatever they were doing on their phones, looking at Facebook, TikTok, whatever it may be, maybe messaging people. And then the person made a comment that one is engaged and other are looking for notifications. So, I mean, we don't know the context here. With the couple on the right who were engaged with each other, they could have been on their first date or perhaps newly dating, and the other 2 could have been dating or been married for many, many years. And often when I go out with my missus for dinner, and I mean, we don't look at each other's phones if we are at the table, but we'll talk and all that kind of stuff. And then often we'll look around and you'll see people and couples. They'll be on their phones until their dinner arrives, but they look fine. That's like what they do. That's their thing, right? So I wanted to ask our listeners this morning, what is it that you expect from your partner when you go out for dinner at a dinner table? Now, you don't necessarily have the kids with you. This is you and your partner that have gone out together. What do you want? Are you happy to sit there in silence maybe? Are you happy to sit there with each other on your phones? Or do you want, hey, no, we got to focus on each other?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can do that at home, quite honestly. One of the reasons, so I'm one of those people who insists that dinner is around the table and that there are no phones at the table when we are having dinner. So even at home, I'm pretty tough and strict around that. Much less when we're at a restaurant. I mean, we've taken time out to spend time presumably we want to have a catch-up or some kind of conversation, look into each other's eyes, and not be on our phones. Where I think it's a little rough is that it seemed to me like it was just a momentary thing that their phones were out. It didn't feel to me that that was indicative of the entire evening. Maybe I missed it, but that's why I thought, oh, come on, get it. Because it looks like she's taking a selfie, if anything, one of the pair. But let's put it out there. Are people strict about phones when you go out to dinner? Or are you in such a comfortable place with your significant other that you don't feel you have to look into each other's eyes and go through the week or the day? You're happy to sit there at a restaurant where you are spending money on a date night, presumably, on your phones? Let us know.
702
Feedback
with Siamtanda Matiso.
Siamtanda Matiso, there are people whose friendship I knew was over because we make time, we'll meet at such and such on this or that day, and there I am trying to, so how have you been? What's going on? Oh, busy. No Instagram.
Yeah, because how boring am I for you to be on Instagram when we're catching up? Like we're supposed to be catching up on life, and you're there taking pictures of food and posting about them and checking out what Rihanna's doing now.
Do scroll in your own time.
Hi, guys.
Right?
Let's not do that. Let's respect other people's times.
What other feedback do you have?
Listen, Bongs, you started off the morning angering our 702 landers with that video of the ANC, the deputy minister of
one loaf.
Yes, of forestry, fisheries and environmental affairs. And you said, give us a slogan. And these are some of the reactions that they gave us.
Hi, Bongani, Lucretia here. My slogan, we will try and fix this country one slice at a time.
Hi, Bongani. Better the bread you know than the butter you don't. This is Pumuzo from Randburg. Thanks.
Morning. The ANC's new logo should be a better loaf for all.
The ANC, breaking bread and so much more since 1994.
Listen, we had fun with this, and we did have those who support the ANC, Bongs, who have said this is an insult, actually. First, it was the Gauteng premier saying that he showers at hotels when he doesn't have water. Now this. I want to say also the ANC has distanced itself from this. They're saying they have an internal step to reprimand the deputy minister. So we have to give them that.
Some people, of course we did. I mean, I read from the statement itself.
Yeah.
People mustn't be such sourdoughs.
Wow.
Right? Why so serious?
Let's go to Swiso, please.
Why so serious?
This is EWN.
More suspected criminals have been shot in KwaZulu-Natal, and oil prices continue to rise due to the Middle East war. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. We start with news just in. 2 people have been killed in a shootout with police at a petrol station in Durban this morning. The 3 suspected criminals were being chased by officers and private security after allegedly committing a crime in Pinetown. One suspect fell to his death when he jumped over a wall, while the other was struck by a bullet. ALS paramedic spokesperson Garrett Jameson says the 3rd suspect has been questioned by police.
So all necessary services are in attendance, and the MRS paramedics have declared 2 people deceased. I'd avoid this area at all costs for quite some time, as the scene will be active for quite some time. This is Spine Road, near the petrol station, opposite the shopping centre in the Westford area.
The command and legal basis of raids conducted by the SNDF and police members in the south of Johannesburg are now under scrutiny. Officers and soldiers yesterday raided properties in Eldorado Park, Riverlea, Westbury and Sophia Town, searching for contraband and illegal guns. President Cyril Ramaphosa announced the deployment of soldiers to fight illegal mining in Gauteng, Northwest, the Free State and gang violence in the Western Cape and the Eastern Cape. Mongezi Gogo reports. reports.
Chairperson of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Police, Ian Cameron, says while he supports the military assisting police, there are serious questions about how the operation was authorised and who is in command. Cameron says Parliament has not approved any SNDF deployment specifically aimed at combating gang-related crime following the State of the Nation address. He says he has written to National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola seeking urgent clarity.
South Africans desperately need safer communities, but this must happen within clear legal frameworks.
He warns that without clear oversight and proper coordination, such operations could create confusion rather than deliver real progress. Mongi Zikoko, Eyewitness News.
International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola says black economic empowerment is not reverse racism as insinuated by US Ambassador Brent Bozell. Lamola defended the ANC's flagship policy after Bozell this week criticized it, demanding that South Africa scrap the equity law. Lamola was addressing a media briefing yesterday on geopolitical developments like the war in Iran and the country's relations with the US. Babalo Ndenza reports.
Ronald Lamola yesterday responded to US Ambassador Brent Bozell's demands to the South African government, which included the scrapping of BEE. Bozell also wants the country to not implement its expropriation of land legislation. But Lamola says there's nothing wrong with BEE, one of the country's redress policies, and it won't be done away with.
We reiterate that broad-based black economic empowerment is not reverse racism, as regrettably insinuated by the ambassador. It is a fundamental instrument designed to address the structural imbalances of South Africa's unique history. It is a constitutional imperative.
Lamola has also ordered Bozell to explain his other remarks about South African courts and not declaring the Kill the Boer chant hate speech. Babalo Ndenza, Eyewitness News.
And oil prices continue to rise despite major countries agreeing to release a record amount of oil from their emergency reserves in an effort to calm markets. The International Energy Agency's 32 member countries have agreed to release 400 million barrels of oil, the biggest in history. Iran yesterday warned oil could reach $200 a barrel as its attacks on ships intensifying in the Strait of Hormuz. Explosions were reported on at least 2 more foreign tankers overnight. Here's the International Energy Agency's Executive Director, Fatil Birol.
As a result of the discussions among IEA members, I can now announce that IEA countries have unanimously decided to launch the largest ever release of emergency oil stocks in our agency's history.
Meanwhile, here at home, the Department of Minerals and Petroleum Resources says contingency plans are in place to protect South Africa's fuel supply amid the growing concerns over possible shortages. The department's Robert Make told 702 yesterday that the department is working with oil companies and industry groups to monitor supply levels and coordinate imports.
So if you have Astro and you have Natref and you have Sasol Secunda combined, they give us a production of almost 360 million barrels per day. So locally we can produce that. And then we have these oil companies that they bring shipment. Yes, I'm talking to you now, and they're en route already. They've left the different countries of origin, and they're heading towards South Africa.
Gold is trading at $5,188.17 an ounce. The rand is at 16.60 to the dollar, 22.18 to the pound, 19.15 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $98.68 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N12 West, right as you approach Edenville Road. An accident there, major accident. Delays coming out of the R21. There's another one reported on the R24 West, right near Edenville Road as well. It's causing delays from Barber Road.
And in your sport, Arsenal held 1-1 in the Champions League while City, Chelsea and Sporting suffered huge losses. Orlando Pirates back top of the Premiership table after a 2-0 win over Richards Bay. And Rory McIlroy will only decide at the last minute if he's going to play in the Players' Championship later.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with showers expected. Johannesburg is at a low of 12 degrees, peaking at a high of 20. Pretoria 14 and 23. Vereeniging 11 and 20 degrees as well. The top story in EWN this hour. 2 people have been killed in a shootout with police at a petrol station in Durban this morning.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Seven minutes after 8 o'clock, you're listening to 702 Breakfast. My name is Bongani Bingwa. Welcome to the program if you've just joined us. On the show today, we've spoken to Professor Rebecca Garland from the University of Pretoria, who specializes in atmospheric chemistry. What was that all about? We spoke about the quality of the air in Gauteng. Many 702 landers have been complaining of a foul smell around Johannesburg. And the worrying thing, as Professor Garland says, it actually is worse when you can't smell it. It was very windy last weekend, and she says essentially, my layman's explanation of what she said was essentially the wind may have whipped it all up. It's unlikely to have come from elsewhere. Industry not always compliant. We think of climate change as a grand project well into the future, and she says we need to take urgent steps now to deal with the impact on residents and citizens. Dr. Michael Masiapato is the Commissioner of the Border Management Authority and says they're well on track to reverse some of the familiar tales of corruption and people and goods entering and exiting this country illegally.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
And once again, to be clear, the ANC has distanced itself from images, they say, social media images. These are videos, of course, of a senior member of the party, Bernice Swartz, who's also a deputy minister and obviously a member of parliament. She's been distributing loaves of bread, and many people are interpreting that as electioneering ahead of whatever announcement may be made later on in the year about local government elections. So they don't deny the veracity of the videos. They're just saying it's not part of their campaigns. We've been having a little bit of a laugh with it this morning to say, as we've heard in other examples, this is a party that's clearly out of touch with voters and how people are feeling. And so we thought if this is the direction some of the members want to go, let's give them some slogans, shall we? Muteo, don't look at me like that. Rai so serious. Rai so serious. Rai. Dinapatiam.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Bongi, no. Phones, you locked up in the car when you go out and have a meal. I'm 35 years happily married, and let me tell you, my wife is the talker, I'm just the listener. So I would sit there enjoying my meal, nodding at what she's saying, but I also look around, see if I can see anything funny, because I'm the jokester normally in our relationship, in our marriage. But yeah, my wife is the talker. Yeah, she would talk more than what she eat. I would finish my meal and she would still be eating. No, phones, lock it up in the car, or even eat it at home. Have a good show, bye-bye.
Good morning, Bongani and team, and 702 landers. Unati here from Four Ways. It's not necessarily a significant other. I have a 15-year-old. We do go out quite often, and I do take that as a special moment for us to catch up. But practically, I really can't be strict on phones, because we'll have a great conversation about a particular topic that'll end, and then she'll want to be back on her phone. So it gets a bit exhausting having a one-sided conversation where you're asking all the questions and the other party is not interested in conversing with you because they're busy chatting to their friends or TikToking or whatever it is that she's doing on that phone. So I just get on my phone as well. But it's a comfort. What matters is that we are together sharing a meal. We'll converse sometime in between, but more often than not, we're both on our phones. And you know what? I actually don't have a problem with it.
Good morning, Bongani. Yes, I'm also old school. No phones at the dinner table, whether it's at home or at the restaurant. Nothing is so important that you need to have a phone alongside you reading messages. Everything can wait until after the meal. Thank you. Old school, CO Pretoria.
My name is Bongani and 702 Lenders, Casey from the south. Listen, for me, obviously it's ideal on dinner date or whatever to stay away from your phones so that you guys can engage, right? But as soon as there's a rule that don't touch your phone, it feels forced, man. It feels forced. I don't know. What's wrong with checking your phone for a good 30 seconds, a minute now and then? Especially when you guys are waiting for your order and stuff. I mean, the world doesn't really stop just because you're on a dinner date.
Hi guys. So my wife and I, when we go out, I take our chessboard with us. It's a nice little small little chessboard, and the reason I do that is because while we're waiting for the food, it's just something for us to both focus on. It's also stimulating. I never actually really thought about it keeping us from our phones. Not that we have that problem of being on our phones when we're together, but that actually is a good thing. So yeah, that's what I do.
I love that. I love the idea of playing a game, chess in this case, or some kind of activity, something that you do together. Because, I mean, look, if you've been together for a while and you live together and you see each other all the time, and you spoke on the way to the restaurant, you spoke before you got to the restaurant, you were speaking when you were getting ready to go to the restaurant. I mean, let's be honest, these things can happen, Mateo, right?
Look, you find different things that you enjoy as you go out, because obviously you live together, you know each other that well. But what we try and do is to try something new on the menu. If it's that type of restaurant, if it's a burger joint, obviously it's just normal chats. But try something new, rate it, and see if we want to do it again.
I like the idea of activity dates.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, think of the poor souls who run a business together, right? Who
Yeah.
work from home together.
Yeah. Discuss invoices.
Die hele dag. Jack, you're in Pretoria. You want to talk about the ANC and the loaf of bread issue. They've denied it as official policy. They're saying this is just a few, dare I say, rogue members. I mean, they didn't use that word, but they're saying these were people acting on their own. So this wasn't their thing.
Hi, Bongani. I think this thing of giving out bread, it's not only for the ANC, it's across these political parties. I'm not sure what are they thinking or what. But here in Ward 98, we've got a councillor that went to collect bread at the local spa. But the bread has expired and he went to dish it out from the back of the boot of his car. The councillor is Mickey from Ward 98.
Aye. And how did people respond, Jack?
We were outraged, of course, because he's dishing out to the people who are disadvantaged. And it was pointed out to him, and he said he never noticed.
He couldn't bother.
No, he couldn't bother. He didn't care. It was all for him to be back in the office.
Wow. Jack in Pretoria. Hey, what is it? Are votes that cheap? Because they used to give T-shirts, right? I mean, how many Gogos sleep in those T-shirts? That'll give you something to talk about, hey? Your significant other comes with those T-shirts, right? That'll make sure you're not bored on that dinner date.
Good morning, Bongani Bingwa and your 702 team. This is Elton Gordon out in eThekwini, KwaZulu-Natal. Look, I'm listening to the interview and we acknowledge progress that has been made because we can't always criticize, although when we do so, we must be constructive. But my biggest issue is we are always reactive rather than proactive. It's one of the biggest issues I've had with this administration, is that we wait for stuff to happen and then we act. So it would be nice if we could have a proactive government instead of a reactive government who acts when the damage is already done. For an example, the amount of undocumented foreign nationals already in the country is, why couldn't that have been stopped before? So this is my biggest issue. reactive instead of being proactive. Thank you for a great show, guys. Keep it up.
Let's talk.
We're listening.
Talking about reactive, somebody sent us a message wanting to know I played you a clip earlier from the OR Tambo municipality as they faced scrutiny from members of parliament, those who are part of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, as well as the Cocta portfolio community. And we heard, of course, from the municipal manager, Basil Mase. I don't think it's Mace. Basil Mase, who was grilled on over half a billion rand in unauthorized expenditure. And one of the things Basil said, as an explanation of how monies get unaccounted for, was that, it's common practice in municipalities, Mateo, that people will receive monies meant to pay for different things in the running of the municipality in their own personal accounts. And there was a particular official who was accused of doing this. And when asked why this official wasn't suspended, the explanation was, these things happen. I played this clip after 7 o'clock, and I think it bears repeating. And then you're going to hear the response of the MPs.
I don't want to seem to be defensive on this matter, or to be evasive for that matter, on the issue of the tourism manager. As I said, we wrote to all of them. They all wrote back to me to explain the allegations against them. This manager as well wrote back to us and say, hey, look, the work at that time was such that in many occasions, money would be paid. I'm not saying this is right. Money would be paid into our accounts. And we have a responsibility to show that this money was to pay these people, and it could show to us that this is a list of people with their bank accounts, their IDs, their signatures, who were then paid using this money. Those are practices that are not in line with the law, but these are practices that have been prevalent throughout.
So that's the explanation. Why would we suspend people who are doing things that we all know everybody else does? This was the chair of Scopa's reaction to exactly that response, Songezo Zibi, yesterday.
No. I was not involved in this, but I'm exposing to commit what actually happened.
So, I need to now assert my authority in this meeting. You've spent all day giving us very long answers. And I've asked you on a couple of occasions, don't give us long answers, and you keep doing it. So it stops now. When an employee receives monies up to 120,000 rand, and the SIU actually itemizes these payments with dates thereon, the first thing I want to challenge you on is the essence of the answer you gave us earlier on, which was that there was not enough in these allegations to go on. That's what you said to us. And I've got time. I don't mind being here until 1 a.m. just on this matter.
Right? That's how low the bar has been set. 120,000 rand received by officials. The SIU flags the transaction, and the best explanation, not from the concerned official, but from their superiors, is that no, but we all receive monies in our bank accounts. How much do you think he gets? Oh, no, but it's for the running of the municipality. It's not to buy loaves of bread, you see.
EWN Traffic.
21 after 8, the CWN Traffic brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, you can ask them for 500 Rand. Amma, what are you seeing now?
Bongani, heading towards Bedford View, we've got a major accident scene along the R24 West. It happened right near Edenville Road. Delays from Barber Road. Please be on the lookout there and expect about a 30-minute hold-up. If you are traveling on the N3 North, we still have that queuing traffic between the Airlines interchange and the Geldenhuys interchange. That's due to roadworks along the street. And then in the city of Tshwane, N14 East, delays between the R55 and the Brakfontein interchange. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a parent and a nervous but excited kid practicing her lines to put on a show-stopping performance at the school play. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a future superstar on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
702, The World View.
With Adam Gilchrist.
Welcome, return to Adam Gilchrist with this morning's World View. Adam, you've been away for a week, and look at where the world has gone. And now, of course,
it was a timely trip. Yes.
Yeah. Hopefully not in the Middle East or in Dubai, somewhere there. Now the issue, of course, around the war is oil.
Exactly that. I was in Egypt, by the way, which is sort of close enough, thank you very much, but safe enough, ultimately. Egypt is not involved. So I looked at the mileage and thought, no, it's okay. Yeah, the knock-on effect of the war in Iran, around Iran, is, we're only just beginning to feel the early stages of it. But the talk about oil prices going up, well, they have gone up. It's not just talk anymore, although Donald Trump is telling us that they've gone back down again in a way that nobody understands. Well, they've gone up over $100 a barrel. Now, you and I might not quite know what that means with a barrel. I certainly don't. But the point is that it has the knock-on effect, and $100 is seen as a high price for oil, and with some talking about how it could edge towards $200 a barrel, even though 32 members of the International Energy Agency have announced that they will release oil reserves, 400 million barrels worth. Well, globally, just on the global oil market, we all get through 100 million barrels a day. That's on top of anything that's sort of done privately and domestically. 100 million a day. It means, therefore, the release of 400 million barrels is 4 days' worth. It's not going to actually sort of make a huge difference, ultimately. The difference is when we start seeing it in the supermarket and our pharmaceuticals and almost everything else we do, which relies on oil. We are, whether we like it or not, still an oil-based global economy. At the same time, there is no let-up. United States and Israel have been pounding certain targets in Iran again. Iran itself has launched projectiles at Dubai. 2 drones fell near Dubai airport, and more ships have been damaged in the Strait of Hormuz. So any tankers in particular, but other cargo vessels that attempt to make that journey are in serious shtuck, and that is why the oil price is going up.
The thing about war, Adam, is that long after the fighting is over, the impact can still be felt. We're still living in some senses with things that happened in the Second World War.
Well, extraordinary, yes. Talking about a leftover bomb, in this case, not a leftover Luftwaffe bomb. We bang on about those, pardon the pun, in the UK rather a lot. But this is a leftover RAF bomb in Dresden in Germany. This is the city that was leveled by 4,000 tons of British and American bombs in 1945. Was very contentious at the time and remains so. Was it really necessary as a war aim? Depicted in the book, the firestorm in Dresden, Slaughterhouse 5, which is especially visceral sort of read. 25,000 people died in it. Well, here we are, 81 years later, and much of the centre of Dresden had to be evacuated when they found a 250-kilo bomb close to a bridge over the River Elbe. You think for 8 decades that thing was there, ticking away. Not that they actually technically do. Major disruption, 20,000 residents evacuated, and ultimately the bomb diffused and everyone went back in late last night and they were all home again. But as the British opera singer Stephen Chaundy put it, he happens to be currently working in Dresden, the past casts a long shadow, as he put it, and doesn't it just?
Indeed, and the present, Adam, one of the people who would have been a bit smug, I imagine, about what's been unfolding in Iran and the Gulf would be the Russian president, because, of course, he was receiving a lot of the criticism just a few years ago. Where is Vladimir Putin now?
Even a few weeks ago, absolutely. Well, there's a little vulnerability to our Vladimir. There's been a lot of nonsense about his health. Well, I say nonsense. I suppose I don't actually know, but it feels like nonsense about, oh, look at him now. He looks pale. Oh, has he got cancer? Looks like Vladimir Putin's dying to us. Tabloid newspapers the world over for the last 5 years or more. And he likes to portray himself as the bare-chested strongman riding his horse through a forest. Well, he was delivering an International Women's Day speech, recorded, but they put out the video of him catching his own voice. So there's a point where he basically stutters and goes a bit scratchy and begins to cough, and he references it as well. This got released officially by the Kremlin and then hastily removed soon after, because it's not the image that Vladimir Putin would want of himself, looking a bit old and a bit chortly. Someone with a red face may now soon be enjoying the comforts of Siberia, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, all he needs to do, President Putin, as you say, is to ride on a high horse. Adam Gilchrist with this morning's Worldview.
EWN Business.
Mateo Paripe Business News, a wrap-up of the morning's business. Quite clearly, lots of people SMSing out to 45142.
Yes, Bongani. Assurance firm Artroin says its interim results are looking good. The group's normalized earnings jumped to 2 billion rand. The company says it's seeing organic growth in South Africa, Ireland and Australia, expecting far better growth for the rest of the year. It was also quite generous to shareholders, announcing a 36% increase in dividends to R1.20 per share.
They look so good because they eat so good.
Rainbow chicken is what Bongani is talking about.
Do you remember the ad?
No, I do not know
It's
that.
very much an ad from the 80s.
Okay.
And there was an uncle saying, they look so good because they eat so good.
I was born in the late 80s, so I would have missed it.
You were still born in the last century.
Rainbow Chicken says it won't raise the prices of chicken products anytime soon, even as demand rises for the protein. The company's earnings have doubled, driven by strong demand, stronger rand, as well as the lower costs at the company. Revenue jumped 11.3% to 8.8 billion rand, with earnings up 111% to 669 million. The group declared its first interim dividend of 15 cents per share since listing on the JSE. Rainbow says things like US tariffs, the avian flu that they've experienced before, and the input costs still pose a risk to the sector. Revenue grew in the chicken division as well as its animal feed unit. The firm says it's also securing its own water and energy supply.
Yeah, so look at that cocktail of risks, right? Tariffs, avian flu, securing water and energy supply. Add to that this war and how long it might last. Everybody making different calculations. In that regard, then, tell us your indicators.
Bloodbath on the JSE on Wednesday. The all-share down 2,208 points. Industrials were down 1%. Banking stocks down by 0.5%, with mining shares dragging down the local market down 3.7%. The rand at this hour, 16 rand 59 against the US dollar. It's down 0.5% this morning. 19 rand 14 cents against the euro, and at 22 rand 18 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $5,152 an ounce. It's down this morning. Platinum at $2,164, while Brent crude is hovering around that $100 mark at $98.81 a barrel. That's your morning business. Stephen Grotes with more updates this afternoon.
Up next, we speak to the CEO of Freedom Park about Voices of the Future. Ungasali, the storytelling festival, returning for its 13th year. In the meantime, Swissa Zulu, let's start in KZN with a developing story.
That's right, Bongani. Good morning. 2 people have been killed in a shootout with police at a petrol station in Durban this morning. 3 suspected criminals were being chased by officers and private security there after allegedly committing a crime in Pinetown. One suspect fell to his death when he jumped over a wall, while the other was struck by a bullet. ALS paramedics spokesperson Garrett Jameson says the third suspect is being questioned by police.
So all necessary services are in attendance, and the EMRS paramedics have declared 2 people deceased. I'd avoid this area at all costs for quite some time, as the scene will be active for quite some time. This is Spine Road near the petrol station, opposite the shopping centre in the Westford area.
Late founder and leader of political party COPE, Musiwa Lekota, will be honored at a memorial service in Bloemfontein today. Lekota died last week after a prolonged illness. He has been remembered as a leader who did not hold grudges and deeply committed to the liberation of the oppressed. Today's service will be held at the Bloemfontein Civic Centre at around midday. Alfara Mushwana reports.
A husband, a father, and a family man. This is how late COPE leader Musiwa Lekota has been described by many who were close to him. But his comrades, some of whom fought alongside him in the struggle against apartheid, remember him for sacrificing time with his family in the pursuit of freedom. Speaking in Soweto yesterday, ANC Deputy Secretary General Nomvula Mokonyane reflected on Lekota's life.
He believed in democracy. He believed deeply in accountability. He believed that leaders must speak honestly, even when it is difficult.
Lekota will be laid to rest on Saturday. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News in Bloemfontein.
The IEC has lobbied students to spread the importance of voting in a bid to have majority of young people participate in elections. The Commission says there's still a huge gap to fill to get young people to register to vote. The IEC took its voter education campaign to the Durban University of Technology yesterday. The Commission's Vice Chairperson, Clement Matala.
We hope to achieve this with the partnership of yourselves as the leaders, taking this message, sounding the clarion call at our homes, in our neighborhood, to our families, to our friends, that we all need to participate in the democracy.
Mashinini has told the young people that if they don't vote, they are far from shaping their future.
If you are not registered, you're not going to vote. So how is the will of the young people then recognized? How are the young people capable to say we can influence the shape and the direction of the leadership that we have in our country?
And Lebanon says an Israeli strike on central Beirut's seafront has killed at least 7 people. This morning's attack is the latest in a wave of strikes exchanged by the Israeli army and Iran-backed armed group Hezbollah. It is the third attack in the heart of the capital, Beirut, since the Middle East war began, as well as repeated Israeli strikes on the southern suburbs of Beirut, where Israel says it has hit 10 Hezbollah targets. Hezbollah says it has launched missiles at an Israeli military intelligence base in the suburbs of Tel Aviv. Lebanon was drawn into the Middle East war last week when Hezbollah attacked Israel in response to the killing of Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah al-Khamenei in U.S.-Israeli strikes. More than 600 people have been killed in Israeli attacks on Lebanon and close to 1 million have been displaced. A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with isolated showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 20 and 23 degrees.
And in the traffic in Athelhurst, we've got an accident reported on the M1 North that happened near Grayston Drive. Delays coming out of Glenhove Road. There's another accident seen along R24 West. It happened right near the Edenville Road exit. It will slow you down, especially if you're coming out of Barbara Road.
The top story this hour, 2 people have been killed in a shootout with police at a petrol station in Durban.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
If I, as a resident, am paying my municipality and the municipality is not paying the utility, then why should that be my problem?
That is why we follow the public notification process, where we then open up ourselves to have that engagement with the customers. The customers may have to prove that level of payment that they're making to the municipality. It is not our intent to switch off the customers. However, we cannot continue to provide reliable electricity while we are not being paid.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Celebrate the power of African storytelling. Join Freedom Park in collaboration with the South African State Theatre for the 13th Ungasali Storytelling Festival, starting on the 14th of March 2026 at the South African State Theatre in Pretoria. You can experience powerful performances through poetry, theatre, music, traditional storytelling as we celebrate the voices and stories that shape our heritage. Tickets are available at Web Tickets for 150 Rand. Ungasali Storytelling Festival, where African stories come alive. Don't miss it.
Switching to Outsurance Business Insurance was a quick process. I saved a lot of money.
Outsurance Business Insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium when you switch? For boutique hotels, catering companies, and all other businesses. Get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
When you buy a quality pre-owned car from Motor Select, you know it's in good condition with full service history and has some cool features. Buy yours from now until this Saturday and you'll also get something extra, like up to 70,000 Rand cash back. So don't just buy a car, buy one that gives you something extra. Get to any participating Motor Select or visit motorselect.co.za. T's and C's apply.
Sometimes all it takes to reshape the world and deliver better outcomes is a little unconventional thinking. Black Sheep Thinking, powered by Camissa Asset Management.
So for decades, as I said, high jumpers, they would face the bar head on. They used what they called the scissors or straddle technique, where they would basically move their legs to be able to jump over the bar. And the results were okay-ish. And then this guy came along and he arched his body over the bar. He was mocked initially. The judges questioned it. It looked wrong. But guess what happened? At the 1968 Mexico City Olympics, he won gold. He set a world record. What's the lesson? When the rules forbid it, orthodoxy can. And just because something has always been done one way doesn't always mean that's the best way. Sometimes progress begins with the courage and conviction to see things differently. That's Black Sheep Thinking.
Black Sheep Thinking, every Tuesday on 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa, powered by Camissa Asset Management. Invest different. Camissa Asset Management is a licensed FSP on 702.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Morning, Bongani. This is Mash from Pretoria. I grew up in Sasolburg, in the Free State, Sasolburg, and there's the main Sasol plant that's normally there. Growing up, we used to just live on the smell to a point where we couldn't smell it anymore. So I'm just commenting after the expert that you called in. We couldn't smell it anymore. And people, as they were visiting our house, they would always ask us, can you guys smell this? And we would always say, no. What are you talking about? We can't smell anything, because it was just so embedded in our systems, right? So yeah, it's just so shocking. But yeah, we always, even today, I still can't smell anything when I'm around the Sasolburg area. And now I'm concerned. The fact that I can't smell it anymore, I'm very concerned, especially after what the expert said. Thank you.
Well, one of the things she said, the expert, this is, of course, our earlier interview with Professor Rebecca Garland, talking about that smell so many 702 landers have been noticing throughout Gauteng. There is a government website, SAAQIS, so SAAQIS. You can go there to check essentially the levels of air pollution in your area on any given day. Cindy, I don't know if you've been smelling the rotten eggs in the air. So our expert before 7 o'clock, the most comforting thing she could tell us, and I'm really not taking any pot shots at her, but she says, it's actually worse when you can't smell it. Yes. She says, if you can, it's probably not that bad. You got to worry when you don't smell it. So I was like, oh, so with all of this, that's when you can go out jogging.
Right. Okay. So is it just bad then all the time?
Unless somebody's keeping an eye on it. That's the point. We only notice, as the general public, when it smells bad.
Mm.
But she says, actually, sometimes it's worse when you can't smell it.
EWN Sport.
Look, it's not the ideal result, but, if the glass is half full, Arsenal remain unbeaten in this campaign of the Champions League.
So it's a first slip up for them because they haven't lost in the Champions League this season at all, but it's the first draw for them. So they came from a goal down and they drew with Leverkusen 1-0. So that's why everybody's talking about it. But there's two legs, right? Because it's a round of 16. PSG scored 3 goals in the last 20 minutes. They cruised past Chelsea 5-2. Real Madrid beat Manchester City 3-0. Valverde scored all 3 goals. And Bodo Glimt beat Sporting 3-0. Here's Manchester City's Bernardo Silva.
In football, everything is possible. Look,
today is a difficult day, but for sure that next week when we go to that game at the Etihad, we will believe that it's possible, knowing that it's a difficult task, but we will know that we will believe it.
Orlando Pirates are back top of the Premiership table after a 2-0 win over Richards Bay with goals from Apollos and Mahopa. Pirates stay ahead of Sundowns on goal difference. Local cricket in the One Day Cup yesterday, the Lions beat the Dolphins by 7 wickets to get the bonus point and go second on the table. The win included an unbeaten 119 from Hamza Ngaba's 5 wickets, while Western Province got their first win. They beat Boerland by 3 wickets. The Blitzboks are in New York this weekend, fresh off a series win in Vancouver. Here's Ronaldo Brown.
There's definitely a lot to play for this weekend, because once you're on top, then you become a target, and for us that's exactly where we're at now. So it's important for us to to stay focused this week, get back to zero, work hard still, So for us as a team, I think to obviously have less of the mistakes that we made last week, and then obviously chasing that perfect game.
In Six Nations, France flanker Oscar Giroud's banned for 4 weeks for eye gouging, so he misses this weekend's game with England. Are you okay?
Sorry, no, just eye gouging. My eyes popped out nearly.
Wow, you haven't heard it in a while because the Springboks haven't played. So in golf, the Players' Championship tees off at Sawgrass today. World number 2 Rory McIlroy, who's been struggling with a back injury, says he'll leave it till late to decide if he's playing.
It's better than it was. I hit up until a 6-iron on the range there, and it felt okay. Yeah, we'll see. I'm taking it sort of hour by hour, but it feels better. That's all I can say. I couldn't stand to address the ball on Saturday morning on the range at Bay Hill, and it's obviously better than that. So, yeah, probably a game time decision, but all indications are pointing in the right direction.
And in tennis at Indian Wells, Victoria Mboko's upset the 6th seed Anisimova 6-4, 6-1 and will play top seed Sabalenka in the quarterfinals. On the men's side, Yannick Sinner worked hard for a 7-6, 7-6 win over Fonseca. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Let's wrap up the morning's traffic. 17 to 9, another busy one. Amo?
Indeed, Bongani, especially because it's been raining in some parts of Joburg this morning. So we do have an accident reported on the M1 North. It's right near Grayston Drive, delays from Glenhove Road. There's also queuing traffic due to another accident seen on the R24 West. This is right near Edenville Road, delays coming out of Isando Road. There's also queuing traffic on the N12 West between Craft Road and the R24 merge. So please be on the lookout if you're traveling along this route. I'll have more updates for you at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Morning, Bongani. The fundamental problem with soldiers doing the job of law enforcement is that law enforcement are trained to protect and work in a certain manner, and soldiers are meant to defend. And to be blunt, their job is to kill, whereas law enforcement's job is to protect the lives of everyone who they're around. They don't have the training, clearly. And I think it's a very bad move. We should have rather invested a lot better into our police force, rather than getting soldiers who have honestly nothing else to do, ransacking the homes of people. Yusuf from Johannesburg.
Yusuf from Johannesburg. Guns, drugs and illegal mining. That's the focus of these soldiers in communities. I know there was extensive discussions on this very issue on John Pullman's afternoon drive yesterday. Mixed reactions, mixed feelings from many 702 landers. Some in support, some not. And of course, if they're looking for illicit substances, they're not going to knock politely on your door and say, if you have in your possession what you ought not to, would you kindly show us? And you have the nice auntie or uncle saying, oh yes, under the cupboard there in the kitchen. What they're going to do, most likely, is turn your home upside down. I don't know if they pack everything nicely and tidily when they leave. Would you rather that as a way of rooting out crime? Or do you think, hang on, I think we're having discussions of around 80 million rand, the president was saying just the other day, for this deployment. Wouldn't that be money perhaps better served beefing up the South African police services who are equipped to do the job?
Morning, Bongani. With regards to campaigning for, elections, some of us, Bongani, the only campaign that we're going to accept is to see the number of prosecutions increasing relating to corruption, Bongani. Yeah, that is the only campaign that we are going to accept, some of us. We don't need T-shirts, we don't need a loaf of bread.
Marabongani ANC don't know when to stop insulting us. Last week it was the billboard, and they were angry with the DA because of the billboard of Panyaza Lesufi. And this week they're dishing us bread. I can't wait to see how Helen Zil is going to slice them this time.
Coming up on the Clement Manatella Show
on 702.
Clement Manatella joins us now in the studio. Of course, his show is on between 9 and 12. Really, the best thing since Bernice's sliced bread. Better late than never.
Yeah. The News 24 is actually reporting that the ANC is now looking at some supernatural intervention to take away the bad luck. So apparently there are suggestions.
No, man, no.
Yeah. There's a famous healer in the Eastern Cape.
No.
That they want to go to try and take away the duck nest, the duck cloud that's hovering over the ANC.
Because why are their members and their leaders making so many mistakes?
They're bringing the darkness.
Scoring so many
but
own
also,
goals.
Tell me, what is wrong with them considering that? If Pirates can do it and Kaizer Chiefs, don't football clubs go to traditional healers to get muti?
Come now.
Don't individuals, when they feel that they are in trouble?
Who was it? I think we once had a Cogta MEC. I stand corrected on the detail, but she was from KZN.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a number of lightning strikes. And she said we need a commission of inquiry to look into these lightning strikes.
What was the
I promise
suggestion?
you that there needs to be an investigation as to why there were all these lightning strikes hitting homes that were thatched.
Oh, okay.
Without.
So that's
really
what we're going to talk
a dark
about.
Cloud.
Yeah, hovering.
Has nothing to do
Any
with
traditional healer out there who's powerful, call the ANC. They may need your help.
Yeah, no shame.
And then at 10 o'clock, we're going to do the hanging out feature. Today,
give me a clue.
I am hanging out with, you failed me so bad last time. So
Batum.
if you fail these three.
I had a brain freeze. It happens. I was
I'm
thinking
hosting.
about bread.
I'm hosting a former rugby player.
Yeah.
Who, that's the first clue.
Springbok?
Yeah, also played, was involved a bit in the Springboks, but out of the country mostly. Was a broadcaster.
Nah.
Was sitting where you're sitting there.
Come on.
Doing the show you're doing
come
right
on.
now.
Make it tough for me.
Oh, I tried the last week and you failed.
Cut the sludge. Cut the sludge. Cut the
John
sludge.
Robbie.
Do you remember?
He's
I was
gonna-
just, cut the sludge.
Yeah. John
Get to
Robbie's
the
going to
point.
join us today between 10 and 11 o'clock. I'm looking forward to that conversation. And then at 11 o'clock, we're going to do our Thursday dialogue. Today, we're going to be discussing an issue you've also discussed on your show. This issue of this child who is being treated at the Charlotte Matlaki Academic Hospital. Parents saying no blood transfusion, giving for religious reasons. Charlotte Matlaki is going to come and join us. I think they have made a decision about whether or not to approach the courts after the minister advised them to. But we've got other organizations that are going to come speak to us about the rights of children, but also religious rights. And how do you balance it?
Right to life.
Of course, that always takes
Supersedes.
precedence.
Yep.
So we'll have a chat about that at 11 o'clock.
All right. For sangomas, traditional healers, and so much more. Clement Manatella between 9 and 12.
30-year-old Dineo knows all about saving on her car insurance with Outsurance.
I'm saving 1,094 rands.
That's an unbelievable 1,094 Rand monthly saving on Dineo's 2025 Kia Sonet. And she'll get an out bonus.
If I'm claim-free for 3 years, then I get an out bonus back.
Ready to see how much money Outsurance could save you? SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
Celebrate the power of African storytelling. Join Freedom Park in collaboration with the South African State Theatre for the 13th Ungasali Storytelling Festival. This 14th of March 2026 at the South African State Theatre in Pretoria. Experience powerful performances through poetry, theatre, music and traditional storytelling as we celebrate the voices and stories that shape our heritage. Tickets are available at Web Tickets for 150 Rand. the Ungasali Storytelling Festival, where African stories come alive. Don't miss it.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
9 minutes before 9 o'clock, as you know, of course, on this show, we are major supporters of the arts. So whether it's visual arts, performance, and even the spoken word. And long before there were podcasts, Netflix, streaming services, or even books, how did people pass down stories? History, identity, it was the spoken word. And Freedom Park, together with the South African State Theatre, is hosting the 13th Ungasali Annual Storytelling Festival, which is really about a celebration of African storytelling and the power of the oral tradition. Dr. Jane Mufamadi is the CEO of Freedom Park and joins us now. A pleasure to have you on our show, and thank you for your time today.
Good morning, and I'm happy to be here.
Let's start with Ungasali, which of course means don't get left behind. And isn't that the point of storytelling? It is about entertainment, but it is also about wisdom and collective memory.
Indeed, and that is why the theme of this festival annually, because we are making a call to all South Africans to come together, to unite, but also to preserve our knowledge and traditions and use them as the benchmark for innovation.
All right, we can talk about storytelling, but just give me a sense of how the festival works and what the experience is likely to be.
This year we are very excited because we have basically evolved. We are mixing physical performances with fully immersive theatrical and digital experiences, but also we are creating an ambience of a cinematic recordings. So when you are there, you'll feel like, and in fact we are in a cinema, and we are also infusing a lot of educational programming within the storytelling. So it's a mix of various aspects of the arts. And this is to celebrate our growth as Freedom Park, and that is why we've partnered with the State Theatre.
There's also a focus on indigenous knowledge systems. What are you trying to achieve there?
I think storytelling in itself, it's an educational method based on our own indigenous knowledge systems. It is what I will call probably the drumbeat of Africa, because through indigenous knowledge systems, we are echoing the memories, the wisdom, and the identity across various generations. But through indigenous knowledge systems, we want to inculcate a sense of pride in who we are as a people, and also using our own knowledge systems to move forward without forgetting and negating our own identities. And we believe that it is through indigenous knowledge systems that our voices, our inspirations can be emancipated.
What do you say to people who see this art form as something for children? You mentioned its educational value. How do you dispel the thinking that storytelling is really just all about telling fairy tales to little kids?
Storytelling is actually an educational method, and it's relevant across generations. It depends on the content of the stories. Stories can also share heavy subjects for the adults, can share light moment, can also be lighter for young people, but storytelling cuts across generations, and it's not just about the children, because even the adults are part of that. And one aspect of storytelling is that it is also participative. So you are not just a spectator. When you are there, you are part of the performance, you are part of the sharing of the story, because you are expected also to respond in a particular manner. So it's a very immersive and participatory program, art form that cuts across generations.
So this can be an experience for the whole family, yeah? It's not just for the children, and it won't certainly be just for the adults.
Definitely, it is an experience for the whole family.
All right, so that's happening at the State Theatre. in Pretoria on the 14th of March. Starting time at 10 o'clock in the morning. Where can people get tickets?
People can get tickets at the State Theatre platforms, even if people arrive there. But that, to avoid a stampede, will encourage people to pre-buy their tickets online within the State Theatre platforms. And really, we are looking forward to having South Africans participate. We are expecting a diversity of storytellers across languages, across cultures, and really this is a wonderful experience not to be missed.
Sounds like it. Dr. Jane Mufamadi is the CEO of Freedom Park.
702 podcasts are on 702.co.za.
We thought we'd end the show off with a 2008 inductee at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Madonna Ciccone.
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
Take a bow, the night is over, this masquerade is getting older, lights are low, the curtains down, there's no one here, say your lines, but do you feel them? Do you mean what you say when there's no one around? Watching you, watching me. One lonely star. I've always been in love with you. I guess you've always known it's true. Say goodbye. Say goodbye. Say goodbye. Make them laugh. It comes so easy when you get to the part where you're breaking my heart. Hide behind your smile. An award for the role that you play. No more masquerade. You're one lonely star. I've always been in love with you. I guess you've always known it's true. You took my love for granted. Why, oh why? The show is over. Say goodbye. Say goodbye.
On that note, we'll take a bow and see you bright and early tomorrow morning. The Clement Manatella Show starts now.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Defense analyst Ricardo Teixeira says the army